Tell you how to call follow spots in French.
Oh, nice.
I had about a day and a half to learn.
You were working there?
I lived there for almost a year.
I know kitchen language that I shouldn't repeat.
Yes.
For
I
working
know
in
that.
kitchen.
So, well, that went out on broadcast. Oh, well.
No, it's all good.
No, the telling how to do follow spots. Okay, I call the budget meeting to order. Would you stand for the pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do the roll call. Councilwoman Anowen,
Here,
Councilwoman Hagen Depew, absent. Councilman Hewitt,
Here.
Councilman Paddock,
Here.
Supervisor Baden, here. Okay, we will pick up where we left off the other night, which is in the general fund. Oh, actually, before we start with that, I'd like to revisit, we talked about the health insurance for the employees who are working greater than 28 hours. Did the math. It comes out to approximately $45,000 increase in cost to the town. It'd be slightly higher, but then there's the added revenue of their contributions toward it. So the net is approximately 45,000. What I would like to propose, and here's my reasoning behind it. Well, let me tell you my proposal first. That we take the 25,000 out that we put in for the SUV. That was a bit of a, we'd like it. It's not mandatory that we have it. The other is that we can take, for the moment, 20,000 additional from fund balance. And so bring that from 180 to 200. In past years, we have not had to touch that money that we budgeted from fund balance because normally we are under budget. So here's my reasoning. The employees that are in concern, two of them are scheduled regularly for 28 hours, but they also work additional hours in the courts and are usually working 33 to 34 hours a week. The transfer station employees are scheduled for 32, but you'll remember we decided that for half the year, we're going to increase that by 4 to 36. My feeling is we've used 35 as the base for offering health insurance. We have employees that are regularly 34, 32, 33, and are probably going to be, obviously, the other employees are going to go up from 32 to 36. So I just think it's the right thing to do. We can cover it for this year. We can look towards some other cuts as it goes on, but I'd like to propose that the 45 was a very rough number. I will have exact numbers for you on Thursday.
So this is for 5 employees in concern.
5 qualify. 1 has already indicated he will not be taking it.
That 45,000 number includes the one person that won't be taking it.
Does not.
It doesn't. So
It's
it could,
approximately 11,200.
but we're funding the position, not the person.
Correct.
So if they opt out, if they choose.
Well, at the moment, when we budget health insurance, we don't fund it so much by position because some of people we know take the buyout, so we don't budget for them for that position. Also, the deductible, not everybody uses the full deductible, so there is a little bit of flexibility within that number.
So worst case scenario is 45,000.
Correct.
Best case scenario, nobody takes it.
Correct, and we don't even know,
Yeah.
although I do believe that at least 2 of the 4 will take it.
Okay.
The other ones, I don't know.
So for budgeting reasons, we would put it in at
We
the
would
full
put it
amount.
in, and we could always, actually, we may even know by the time we adopt the final budget, and we could adjust accordingly then. So that's what I would like to do. I will run those numbers. But if we sort of continue working where we are, considering that to be a wash, we'll remove, I will, after we're done tonight, I'll remove the 25,000. I'll add the 20, and that will be essentially a wash, because what I did is I calculated the amount that it would cost us, the amount that they would contribute into it, and the difference is 11,002 something per person per year. Just for, for an hour's worth of time, it just doesn't seem right to me. And I think it's something that a lot of people really struggle with. We talked about earlier about health being so important, and be able to offer coverage, I think is the right thing.
I agree.
We have a verbal agreement, and I'll come
Yeah.
back with the actual numbers.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
And then that will also, because after that, there'll be like a little bit of topping that we have to do, right?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how far we get tonight.
Okay,
We may, if we get all the way done with the general fund tonight, I could present to you on Thursday night the tentative budget, which is, or excuse me, preliminary. We start out with the tentative, which is my version of the department requests. Then we work on it. We establish the preliminary. That's what goes to public hearing. So we have to have what's going to public hearing to Kate by Friday morning.
okay.
I want to give everybody a week's time to review the budget. So, and then we'll take comments. After that time, we can make whatever changes we deem appropriate based on the comments or based on changes we decide to make. And then there is not a further public hearing, and then that has to be adopted by November 20th.
Okay.
So, but I just wanted to sort of revisit that. And I did include in, based on our last resolution, all the dental, and I'm assuming that I worked into the numbers, assuming that everybody will take dental. Some of those numbers may go down, because one of the things that came to mind, I actually realized reading it, under the MVP health plan, dental is covered for 19 and under because of the ACA. That is a requirement. So there is no reason any employee would need to take a family dental plan, because any kids 19 and under, well, actually, the only reason would be if they had kids between 19 and 26 who are still considered kids under the dental plan. But anybody who has kids 19 or less, there's no reason for them to pay, because they'd be paying double coverage.
Yeah.
So, and they won't get double coverage. So I hadn't figured that out right away. So there's a couple cases where I figured family plan that probably will be employee spouse as opposed to family. So there'll be a little bit of savings here and there. But those, we're talking, those fluctuations are in the hundreds of dollars, not the thousands. So, okay, let's start with where we left off, which is,
Could I just
Sure.
revisit one thing?
Yep.
Before we go where we start off, which is, I was asking a lot of questions about this last meeting, and I thought a lot about it, but on page 19 of the non-summary, I guess it's general government support. We were talking about the stipends for the different roles. And I wanted to propose, this is not the department request, but I want to propose that we increase the tax collector stipend to what I was thinking was 5,400 there. Just based on both comparables in other towns and also just the way the roles add up with the full-time elected officials when we include the stipends.
The only thing I ask is 5,400, if we can make it be divisible by 52.
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise it throws a curve into us because we have to tell the county personnel
How
it's so
much?
much per week
Okay.
or per month. And that stipend is paid on a weekly basis.
Okay, so we would,
uh,
I see. That's why that one ends in an 8. Is
Yep,
that, okay.
Yep, that's exactly why.
Okay,
So we could do 5304, 5356.
Doing that in your head.
how about
Base 52, it's easy.
54, 5408?
5408, okay.
I agree with that number. Adam, you like it?
And again, the reason why we're increasing it from 32 to 54 is
Well, it would be from, the tentative budget is 39. So there was.
the department request though was 32.
Yes,
Right.
so there's a couple of reasons. One is.
It has been underpaid.
It has been underpaid. And then 2, when we're just like reviewing what we as a board are valuing the position, the total of the positions at, that brings it in line with our proposed for the supervisor salary too. Whereas we were trying to match those this year.
Right. The only thing I thought though was that the tax collector stipend was a busy job 6 months out of the year where the budget
Probably
officer
7
was,
or 8
or
months.
7 or 8, but the budget officer was a daily grind year round.
Kate, Aaron, what we could do is split the difference, increase the tax collector partially, and the registrar of vital statistics is a year-round job.
Right,
And that one is also a little bit low.
That's
Right.
interesting.
What if we did 5,200 for the,
That's divisible.
yeah, that's a nice, for the tax collector. And we haven't done the other position yet, but instead of the 1898, I would say we add the extra 2, what were you saying, 204?
yeah, it would be 208, I think.
204, yeah, 4 times 52. So if we made that 22,
Wait,
6,
2108?
what was 1898, and
Oh,
you're saying another 408, so that's 20,
It would be 208,
oh, 2,
so it'd be 2106.
2106. Wait, it can't be 208.
Oh, right, you're right. 5408.
You're saying 5408, we went, no, it is,
It's.
Oh, it's
two.
because it's the half, so
Yeah.
so it would need to be,
instead of 208,
we'd have to split it differently. What if we did,
wait, no, 208 is 4 times 52. 208 is correct.
Mhm. And that's the additional that would make 5408.
So it would be 2116. No, 2106.
2106, and then that would be like about 50 cents. Is that okay? 41.50.
Yeah, well, what was asked for was 1900, and I did it at 1898 just to make it be divisible by 52.
Okay,
But now we've gone up to, so it's actually, it's a $270 raise.
right.
Over 50. No, 260. Raise. Which is, like you just said,
Right.
50 cents.
Right. And then I think in line with what you've been talking about, Councilman Paddock, I think we'll see what the new board is like. But undertaking like the pay structure where we're really analyzing what each of these are entails, comparables, I think it's nice to start with a an even base
Sure.
with this budget. And then I think next year we can look in more detail.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm coming from on this.
Okay. I just, again, my only the thought was the difference between the request, the
Yeah.
tentative, and now.
Well, the request was keeping in line with about a 2% raise, and we already sort of exceeded that because most of the raises that we put in are 3% or greater.
Yeah.
Depending on the position. The raises where it's brand new people, and I can kind of, as we go, I'm partly through preparing that sheet of all the salaries. I haven't completed it yet. But the people who were newer employees, I gave them a dollar amount raise as opposed to a percentage, because they essentially are starting at a lower rate. So people that are 17, I took them to 18 if they were a newer employee. Other employees that are continuing, I gave them a 3% approximate raise. And part of the reason for that is we always end up with the newer employees and the older employees sort of getting the salaries sort of conflict with each other of how you're doing it. So it's sort of front end loading, recognizing that people are in the beginning, there's a big learning curve for their job, and sort of rewarding those that are coming and then the other people. Then once the newer employees transition into a more seasoned employee, then they shift to the same raise.
Right.
And that way, I think we look at it by position as opposed to more so than person. And I think
Right.
that's been the problem in the
Yes.
past is kind of what I was handed in 18 is
Yes.
everything was done by who the person was.
Right. Well, and I think that could also be true with some of the stipend roles, because like honestly, looking at it, a lot of towns have a separate tax collector where it's a
Right.
$25,000 budget item.
Agreed, but
And we don't do
our
that.
town is not set
Yeah,
up that.
No,
way,
we're
right?
not. I'm not saying that we are, but I'm just saying we're doing these, I think it's well-intentioned, but
And I think
we don't
also-
have like a list of job duties with each of them necessarily.
As you revisit.
No,
those-
and remember, those are associated with an elected official, so there are no job duties.
Right.
As you revisit the salaries next year, maybe think about longevity, because Kate's been doing it so long. I think she has earned that, because she needs to have raises that keep up with her level of skill too. So definitely start at a certain baseline, but if people have been with us for a long time, that should weigh into it.
And the only thing I don't disagree, but I've been told for 2 years that we can't give a
Right.
performance increase,
Gotcha.
that it has to be a percentage based on something. We
Yep.
can't
Well-
reward somebody for doing a good job for some
And-
reason.
Mhm.
Particularly an elected
Particularly in an
position,
elected
because
position,
someone
because
could
anybody
run,
could, yeah.
Right.
someone
good
could
point.
challenge, and then, if we're bumping up this huge salary,
That's
Yeah.
where if you
Yeah.
pay the person, you really
Yeah.
do run into problems.
Yeah.
Because you're not paying the person, you're paying the position.
Right.
Absolutely in an elected.
That's why I bring up longevity, because let's say someone did take off,
Mhm.
then that longevity bonus is gone.
But that's what I
Well, you
think,
can't-
but I think that's what he's getting at is that we have a base pay per position. And then,
Right.
that, and it's like a healthy reset. If somebody was a clerk, but they were doing it for 20 years and they were really good at it and they increased it, but then somebody new came in, they kind of
It is
base
a healthy
reset.
Yeah.
But it's always the ongoing problem when you just give percentage increases of raises that you end up with this disparity because somebody's making a higher amount of money than somebody else and you do a strict percentage, then the gap gets wider and wider. So you have, yeah.
I don't disagree, but if we're not allowed to pay for performance.
But this isn't paying performance. What I'm doing is saying the newer employees, we're
Yeah, I get it.
ramping up the percentage and then leveling off.
Mhm.
And it's not performance based at all.
No, but again, take somebody who started 10 years ago making $10, 3% increases, they might be up to $14. But then we bring somebody in and we say, oh, that position is worth $14 and they're brand new. You know, that's where we run into
Well, and
trouble.
but that's where
Even
you
though
have
they
to
have-
sort of figure the cost of inflation into that too. It's not just a standard 3%.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to establish baselines of starting salaries or starting hourlies based on the job and the, you know, the situation and the job responsibilities. So
Gotcha. It's tricky.
it is,
Yep.
it's always tricky.
Thanks, Aaron.
It's a lot easier in corporate world, that's for sure. Because then you don't have to answer to, you know. to
Also
taxpayers.
true.
You have to answer to shareholders
I
maybe.
think
but-
everybody should be on commission.
Okay, speaking of, we'll start with Public Safety Administration. I have budgeted 18,600 for the constables. This is when they're,
I don't know.
This is,
I was ready to
28.
28,
good. I was
okay.
ready to copy off
I'm
Aaron.
sorry.
Neither one of us had the answer.
That's based on a 1,200 a year total. That number seems to be, we haven't achieved that in a while. Well, obviously last year and this year, COVID related changed everything.
Which number are you on? I missed that one.
I'm on the 3010.112.
Thank you.
So we're no longer funding the 111 and the 113 line. Remember last year, we merged everybody. Somehow there was one posting that got posted to the 113 line, and I will go back and find where that was, and we will move it to the 112. That's why if you look at the actual expenditure line, you'll see there's one expenditure in that line. The way I do the constables and just, I'm proposing that all the constable levels get a $2 an hour raise.
Right,
We are currently paying the starting constables $13 an hour.
right,
So I'm proposing they go to 15.
great.
And then everybody up, the ones that have already achieved the 520 hours will then increase by $2, as well as Rich will increase by $2. What that will do is, if you'd like to know the numbers of what they will be, I'd rather not name names though. So it will be so the range will be 15, 1550, 16, and 1650. And right now we are 13 to 1450. So it's a straight across the board $2 an hour raise for everybody. I think it's way beyond time. The amount of commitment that we get. So. And that will now put us to no employee short of the summer recreation add additional staff is making less than 15. And most of those people that are making less than 15 in the summer are high school students who are basically being sort of interns, assistants, and so. Not that I'm saying high school students should make less than 15 an hour, but I think we can accept that, so.
Good.
Okay, so that's where that number came from. Clearly, it's always a guess as to what the hours will be. So I budgeted for the 1,200 hours a year, which is 100 hours a month. We haven't hit that in quite some time. I don't know if we've ever hit it, but I think now you will see what the department request ask was. It was considerably higher.
That's what I was about to ask you about.
I did email everybody. I could pull it back out here if you'd like to.
Oh, yeah. The email that you sent us.
Yeah. It was probably for a lot more hours than,
Because you're basing this off of
1,200 hours.
I'm basing off of
previous,
1,200.
which is
hours,
what it was in 2020.
Which is the way I did the 2021 budget, and I believe I probably did the 2022. If you look back at what we've spent in past years,
Right.
you can see so
It's,
it may even be high we could probably cut it down a little bit, but it's one of those positions you don't know what you need until you need it.
Right.
So I don't feel comfortable going lower than that.
And then
1,200.
it's the other departments that are utilizing the constables, that's in those budget
No,
parts or.
yeah, they're in other budget.
Yeah, like the
parts, yes.
safety, code
Yes.
enforcement office.
Code enforcement
Those
office
hours are
and the
separate.
court is separate. This is
Ah,
public
okay.
safety, so this is when the constables are acting as constables.
Yeah,
Either-
so 100 hours a month's healthy.
It's a healthy number. We
Yeah.
could lower it a little bit. We could go to, if you feel like we should lower that down. I can tell you what we did this year, if you'd like, so far. I can actually tell you what we've done the past several years.
Yeah, because the amount is a lot higher than it was in 20.
Well, remember, we're giving a $2 an
Yeah.
hour raise, so there's
Right, right.
$2,400 right there.
Right there. Yeah.
And that's probably what the difference is, actually.
It's.
Because I based it on an average of 1550, because we have most of the constables are at 15, we have some at 1550, we have some at 16 and some at 16.
Well, it's-
Last year I averaged it at 1350.
Yeah, in 20, if you did 1350 for 2020, that's 707 hours.
707 hours.
But that
That's
was
thir-
COVID. That was like,
Yeah,
No, but I'm not sure.
actual expenditure in 2021, $1,356.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm talking about the budget in 2020, which
Mm-hmm.
was 1620. That's 1350 times 1200 hours.
oh, what, am I not looking at?
Yeah,
the
we
right-
we don't have a number in ours, Mike.
I have
Ours is
9,553.
Oh, interesting.
It should be in here.
Oh,
There's the-
I'm looking at
Now,
that.
you're looking in the audited
That's
budget for
2021.
2020. Look at
Final
2021 final budget,
Right,
1620.
1620.
Yeah.
200.
I'm talking about this year, I budgeted 1350.
oh,
times
right,
1200
yeah, yeah.
hours.
I was just saying, I'm sorry, all I was saying is that in 2020.
And in
we
2020,
were
they were
increasing-
making like 12.
All I'm
something
saying
an
is we
hour.
are increasing hours. I'm saying it does, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay,
I'm not trying to disagree with you.
no, that audited budget is the amount that was
Yeah.
actually spent.
Right,
So, and my point is, the number spent is usually less, but that was my other point is,
Right.
do we, I'd rather we budget more and find we don't need it, and during the course of the year, if, when I need to find budget modifications, I'll be honest, this is one of the places I look, because I look and see where we stand.
Mhm.
Let me just, 2020 is a bad comparison. though.
no, I know, because,
Although remember in 2020, we did all those Minnewaska weekend patrols.
right,
So,
yeah, if we divide that number by 1250, you said, it comes like 764.
I can tell you exactly how many hours we had in just a moment here. In 2020, they worked 767 hours.
Close.
Isn't
I
that
know
what
how
you
to do
just said?
math.
Yeah. In 2019, they worked $428 hours.
Hmm.
Um, And in 2020, on 2021, excuse me, through the end of September, 180 hours. So essentially, that's 9 months out of the year, so it's only approximately 20 hours a month.
Mhm.
So maybe 1,200 is the wrong answer. Maybe we should go down
I would think it would,
to 75 a month.
I mean, you could definitely do that, but you would have to think that based on the constabulary report every month of increased neighbor to neighbor, increased traffic violation, increased noise ordinance. If it ever comes a time where there is a noise law on the books, if there's a littering law on the books, you know, if you're right, if we're doing 20 hours a week to go to 100 or a month doesn't make sense. But I would certainly increase it from where we're at, just kind of expecting.
I mean, in the beginning of this year, when the COVID was still prevalent, we were not doing many hours.
Yeah.
During the summer.
Right, we'd need to see like a chart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, I kind of have it here.
Mhm.
I do break it down by month,
Mhm.
by the, so.
That's why we need the TV.
I know,
Yeah.
I can't wait. That's gonna be
Um,
so good.
But earlier in the summer, we didn't have many hours because we just didn't have, you know, we still have COVID going on, so.
And I know when there's staff, some of the scheduling stuff
Yeah.
was tough too.
I'm willing to go down on it. I
So-
think we can.
Can you, I missed, so what you budgeted for
I
100
budget for
hours
100 hours a month. at
and you said
15.50.
so far we've done 75 hours a month or
So far,
20?
we've done 180. What I was
Oh.
proposing is that we've done 180 hours total. What I was proposing that we go down to 75 hours a month instead of 100. We always can add out of contingency or something else, and this may be a place to help us pull some of that. So,
I think your estimates are accurate, and so lowering it to 75 is a good idea, in my opinion.
okay,
Brings us down to 13,950 at
Thank you, Adam.
15.50.
what's the number?
$13,950.
Do you,
Okay.
as the liaison, what do you think about what we just did?
No, again, you know, I think we're gonna,
Can you multiply 75 by 12 and tell me what that number is?
it's 900.
Thank
Yep.
you.
I don't think we used the constables, you know, during COVID. We had some issues, but again, all we keep catching is neighbor to neighbor complaints. It's something that our constables are very, very good at, is diffusing it. And again, you know, whether it's Minnewaska, whether it's our swimming hole, whether it's, you know, the stuff that the sheriffs and people don't want to take care of. I just have a feeling the bigger this community gets, the more we need.
The month of September, we used them 65 hours.
Already.
Now, bear in mind, we had the monster truck show in September, we had the Arrowwood event, we had traffic control for the, so there were a number of things that they did.
So
Heritage Day.
in 2020, it was.
But I think an average of 75
Right,
will work, because in the summer, there's more.
yeah.
And in the fall, there's more, but in the winter, there's not much.
In 2020, it was 764. So what we're doing, the 75 hours a month, is a 20% increase.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty,
And then 2020, we did have a heavy use during the fall because of,
Yeah.
the Minnewaska.
Yeah.
So,
And not for nothing, but it's starting to become like the, you know, like the plow. It's Mother Nature. If we had a beautiful fall with no rain and
Yep.
lots of leaves, we might have needed more, you
Yeah,
know?
you don't
but
know.
well, do
Okay.
you want to go up to 80?
No, I think we're
Okay.
good.
I think
Okay.
I think we're okay with that. So we're gonna do the 900 hours total
Okay.
instead of the 1200. And so we've just, it's helped us considerably. Equipment, 3,000 was asked for, but without any specific ask.
Mhm.
I felt comfortable bringing it down to 2,000. I do know there is some things we need to purchase. Building off that, there was a request for a 4-wheel drive vehicle. One of the constables actually at Heritage Day mentioned to me that it would be helpful to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle sometimes, but I don't, if we do that, I think then at that point, we need to get rid of one of the vehicles. I don't think we can even consider having 3 vehicles. It was budgeted at 6,500. I'm sure that was being thought of coming off a police auction.
Yeah.
As you remember, the 2 constable cars we have, we spent a total of about $2,000. No, 1,000 for one, and I think 500 for the other. So,
Can't beat that.
but I took it out of the budget. I just don't think we're ready for it.
I agree.
So I removed it, but I did believe I put in 2,000 for equipment as a placeholder, not knowing exactly where we go. Supplies and materials, nothing was asked for. I put in 250. I think that's reasonable. Office supplies, it was 500 asked for, but we've never really spent anything much. I put 200 in. It's a total of 450 for supplies and materials and office supplies, so it's only 50 less than what was asked for. The insurance, what was put in is what we paid this year is $19.95. I upped it a little bit to $2,200, just estimating that there might be about a 10% increase.
Can I just, I'm sorry, on that office supplies, I just was just thinking about the annex building, and are they thinking they need to buy things to?
It's fairly well stocked
Okay.
already. So office
Okay.
supplies in
It's just
general
there.
are, pens,
Okay,
paper,
okay.
paper clips.
You mean because it's odd to go from 0 to the 500?
Yeah, I was just wondering like what
Yeah.
And that may have been the reasoning behind it, although, and office supplies are one of those fluctuating
Right,
things
right.
that if one department is
Yeah, you
higher,
can
some
always-
departments are
it's a-
lower, and I can kind of,
Got it.
I think of office supplies, even though it's budgeted departmentally, it's one big sort of pool of money, and if I need a little here, I go to another office supply line and
Move it around.
take from
Okay,
that.
got
So,
it.
So the insurance, I mean, if you wanted to go to 250 on that, I'd be willing to.
I just didn't know if you had any insight onto what they were thinking with that, and then it made me think, oh, I guess maybe having
Yeah.
a base, like a,
But in essence, too, like I
Office.
said, they didn't ask for anything, supplies and materials. Supplies and materials are not office supplies, they're more
Right.
durable materials.
yeah,
So the two could kind of be
Right.
thought of
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
one entity and.
You can move around.
yeah,
Um,
got it.
Insurance, as I said, I anticipated a 10% increase across the board. I don't know if that's going to be reality, but put in 2,200. Education and conference, what was asked for 500, I upped it to 1,000. I would like to see more of our officers, our constables be able to go to trainings and
Right.
things. So that's why I upped it. Uniforms, 2,000 was asked for. We do have some new people coming in. I lowered it to 1,500, but I wanted to just also have a conversation. We did discuss at one time about going to a golf shirt type of uniform, continuing the pants that we have currently. That would be okay. We don't have to decide that now, and that's something I think we might want to have more conversation with the constables themselves. But with that being said, though, should we up it back to the 2,000? I mean, because clearly we would need to purchase at least 2 for each officer. You figure they're $50 each probably.
I
Maybe
think
100.
because if we did that, they'd still, I think their court officer uniform would probably not be that, right? So we
Well,
might want to up it.
I was thinking across the board.
Oh, okay.
And other court officers, I've been told, are not as formalized as ours.
Hmm,
I mean, ours is because that's what they wear.
right,
Um,
okay. Well, I'm
We
okay
don't
with,
have to decide right now.
I'm personally okay with bringing it back up, because I know we have had this conversation about uniforms, and that would
Yeah.
give us more
Let me bring
flexibility.
it back up.
Yeah. Also, I would say if we're gonna go to golf shirts, we don't want the cheapest
No, we
crappy
want
looking
good
golf
quality.
shirts.
Yes.
So they're not probably dissimilarly priced from a dress shirt,
Right. Right.
so, and again,
And
I don't know
you're
what
gonna
that.
have to deal with the insignia and all that too,
Yeah.
that it's not just gonna be buying a shirt. There's gonna be a number of.
And sticking to our local values, Kenco Outfitters does amazing shirts and embroidery.
Mhm.
If we need that.
Okay.
So we're gonna increase that from.
Yep, I went back to the 2,000. Postage, 350 was asked, but I'm not sure why, because there is not much that needs to be mailed out that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
direct
usually
from- Yeah,
your office pays
so
for
I
that,
put
right?
I put it in at 50, which is what I put it in the past.
Okay.
Are we thinking that we're gonna be mailing parking tickets?
Hmm.
That's
that
still wouldn't, that would come from the clerk's office.
Okay,
That would
there
not
you go.
come from them.
Good enough.
They would issue them and the clerk would. So. Traffic control, which is basically our signs, our
Right.
road signs. I did up it a little bit.
But then we reduced it
Down to 6,000
6,000.
with Jeff.
Did we?
with
Yep.
Jeff. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
I missed that one.
We did
I
that.
put
with
it in
Jeff.
green.
I did too.
highlighted.
Okay,
Mine's
I
right.
don't have my
Yours is
highlighter right now.
I missed that one, but there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go.
Let me just take a quick peek. Do you want to know where we stand right now in the big picture, or do you want to?
Well, how many more pages do we have?
A lot
Yeah.
more.
A lot more.
Yeah, 20 almost. Well, some are blank. All right, let's count our chickens.
Yeah, I'll wait to tell you. I won't tell you yet. I don't want to give you false hope.
Okay. Yeah, I know. All right.
Okay, control of dogs. I am upping the dog control officer from current is
Mhm.
last year we did a fairly significant raise. We went to 285. I'm proposing we go to 300 a week.
Mhm.
We essentially, Jill, well, probably should use that. Our dog control officer works Monday through Friday. We have the deputy who does the weekends.
And this covers both of them, right?
No,
Oh,
no, no.
Okay.
He is contractual.
Oh,
He's not
okay.
an employee, she is an employee.
Okay.
We also do provide health insurance, so for her. So, and it's not a position that normally would get health insurance. So that is a benefit that is offered. She pays a third, we pay a third, and Town of New Paltz pays a third. I'm not sure why only New Paltz pays that third, but it's okay. And they do send us the check regularly, so. But that essentially is, it's probably, I don't even know how many hours a week. It's probably at least 20 hours a week. We could consider to go a little bit higher with it.
And why is this position paid weekly instead of hourly?
It always has been. It's basically paid as a salary,
Mhm.
but it's paid weekly.
Okay.
Um,
Is that the only?
Every town must have a dog control officer
Okay.
of some kind.
Mhm.
So,
Has she ever complained about pay?
no. I
Because
mean, I
this-
am proposing when we get down to
On
the
average.
contractual, I am proposing that we up the stipend, not stipend, the hourly by $1 an hour. The deputy makes $15 an hour for actual hours.
Mhm.
And you're saying that you think that's what the,
If it goes to 300 a week and the person is doing 20
Yeah,
hours.
no, I mean, there's certainly Monday through Friday, it's
whatever
it's
is
whatever the
needed,
job is needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
And I apologize, first time really digging into it, but outside, it's the only non-elected official in the town that's paid a salary. Is that true?
No.
No?
Recreation director, code enforcement officer, assessor, there's a number.
Okay.
All
All right. Fair enough.
It's not really a salary, it's a weekly, but it's a weekly, no matter how many hours are worked.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So I guess it's the equivalent of a salary.
It's a salary.
Right.
So,
What do you think? Increase?
It's a difference of $800 a year.
Well, I'm
from
fine
last
with
year.
this number, but he was asking if we should go even further.
Even further.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in comparison, it's the same as
Yeah.
essentially if we, although if we are going up $1 an hour with the deputy,
Right.
then we're now sort of setting up.
Yeah.
Is the board comfortable if we go 320, which would be another 1,000?
I am.
Yes.
320 a week.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was just my,
Okay.
that's what I was just about to
Nice,
say.
nice.
Adam, can you 320 by 52, please? If you wouldn't mind.
I've got it. It's 16,640.
Oh. I didn't get the full.
Okay. Great. Equipment, there's nothing specific in that was asked for. I put in a $500 placeholder. It's kind of been my generic go-to. You look back at the last 3 years, we've only spent $225. We might need to buy some additional fencing and things, but that doesn't really come out of equipment. Equipment is something specific that
Yeah.
it's a kind of a cover our butt. If something comes up, there's a placeholder there.
Gotcha.
And sort of full disclosure, I created the ask for this.
The 500.
No, I mean, the department request.
Oh, I
did not
see.
come from the
Okay.
Oh, got
control
it.
officer. It came from
Gotcha.
me.
Okay, got it.
So, supplies and materials, I upped it a little bit to 750 based on the fact that we were at
Mhm.
490, almost 500, 2/3 of the way through the year. Office supplies, it's very rare we have to buy anything occasionally. So again, a $50 placeholder. Professional services, I lowered it because we hadn't spent much, although we just, in Thursday's bills, you will see that there are a couple of charges. We're very lucky in that our dog control officer has a not-for-profit foundation that she started that a lot of people make donations to.
Right.
And many times if we need vet services, she pays for them through that as opposed to.
But that's what the professional services would be.
Yeah, that-
Professional services is veterinary services when they are needed. $600 may be a little low.
That could be basically any one animal throughout the course of the year.
What were the
They-
bills for? Do you remember?
I don't
Okay.
remember. Tim just told me that, oops, we finally had to use that budget line. This
Right.
And I don't remember if I even saw the bills yet.
Can we
So
move that back to 1,000?
I would say if we go back to 1,000, I think the 750, I mean, if you look back, well, the contractual is the total amount, but
Right.
so let's go back to 1,000 to be. The dog control assistance, that's I'm budgeting for 200 hours over the course of the year.
Okay.
That's where the 3,000 came from. You'll see we're probably right at 2/3 of the way through. We spent 1,800. So we're kind of right on track of about 900, a third of the year. So I think the 3,200 is probably accurate. The mileage, I bumped it up a little bit, knowing the price of gas, because we do reimburse both of them for mileage based on the mileage rate. So I put in 2,500. I mean, given what gas is right now, maybe we should go to 3,000, but
I mentioned it last time, but we don't modify our mileage payout based on gas prices. We use the standard, the IRS
This is
tax,
true.
57
this is true,
cents, no matter what the
but
gas
that
is.
gets varied by the IRS based on gas.
It hasn't moved in the last few years, though.
Yeah, it has.
When does
it
Oh,
come
yeah,
out?
every year it moves.
What's it at now? Not that you need to know off the
Well,
top of your
they,
head. Just
no, it's 52.5 still. They did
Yeah.
not, they have not made a modification. Occasionally, during the course of the year, if gas prices go one way or the other strongly, they have been known to occasionally modify
Okay.
it.
It's 56, you said?
I think it's 52.5, I believe is what I remember.
It says 56 cents per mile, 2021 standard IRS mileage rate.
Oh, then it's 56, I guess. we're paying.
The dog control assistance, is that the deputy or that's something?
That is a contractual position.
Oh,
we-
yeah, that's
we-
the person who does it on the weekends.
Correct.
So that we're valuing at the same hourly as, because that's 16 an hour.
Correct. And
Okay.
that's exactly why I proposed we up the other to what we upped it to. So they match. So essentially, we're paying our dog control people, whoever is doing it, 16. And then postage, there's very rarely
One stamp.
one stamp so far.
We're sticking with the gas.
Yeah, I think Adam's point is valid, that it is the IRS, and so we'll leave it alone. If it, those were things that if as the year goes on, we need to tweak it, we will. Always find somewhere to pull budget modifications. The safety inspection, that has gone away, and actually somehow in the next couple of years, we'll be able to just delete that line. That's a very old archaic line that we shouldn't have been using, but we still were. That originally was the code enforcement office line, but there is a line in the comptroller for code enforcement. So why we were calling it safety inspection, I don't know.
Okay.
But
Well, 2 more years, it'll be gone, right?
There you go.
yeah, I like to leave it in as long as there's still a
Yeah,
number showing,
right.
and as soon as the numbers go away, I will delete it.
Gotcha.
So, the unsafe buildings, that's a wash. We put in a $10,000 demolition expenditure. We also put in a $10,000 revenue line.
Because if
Every
someone
year.
rips down a building, they pay.
Now, if we ever have to condemn a building and take it down, it's 10,000 has been the number that's been in there for forever.
But where's the income side?
In the revenue side,
Yeah,
on the
but-
revenue line,
Who would pay it?
we would bill if the tax, if we have to go take a building down because it's unsafe,
Uh-huh.
we do it and then we bill it we add it to the tax bill
I see.
Gotcha.
for that
Can-
property.
Okay.
So the
Oh, for
reason
that
I,
property.
the reason
Oh.
I'm pointing it out
I
is,
thought we're tearing down the dog control.
No, no,
office
no,
for a
no, no,
second. Wait a second.
now this is if there's a
It would be
building
cheaper.
that is deemed a private property building that is deemed by the code enforcement officer so unsafe and they refuse to deal with it.
I see.
Then we go in and take it down, and the cost of taking it down gets billed. So that's why it's really a wash anyway. The 10,000 is a placeholder. It's been the same number ever since I can remember.
It could be anything.
It could be anything, because if we put the exact same number in the revenue side, to be realistically, we probably could just remove it
And wait
Because-
till it happens.
until it ever happens.
Mhm.
But it nets out to zero.
Yeah.
So it was in every budget that I ever saw since I've been going to town board meetings, and I just keep including it. So
It's a
we
legacy
never had
budget
to
line.
utilize it, in my knowledge.
Here comes our registrar and.
So just for that category, the public safety category, we just took out $3,210 from what was the tentative budget.
Mhm.
So just to give you. So, yeah, the registrar, we've up to the 2106. The office supplies, the ask was for $100. I don't see any reason not to give that. Let's talk ambulance.
Okay.
Oh,
I did get a budget from Marbletown First Aid. I have not received one yet. Normally, Cohasset Accord supplies us one when we sign the contract with them. They supply it for the previous year. I had intended to email them and ask them to supply one to us earlier, and realized that I had not until just this week. So Marbletown was proactive and I think watched the Zoom meeting and sent it to me actually earlier this week as well. I'm proposing that we actually do pay Marbletown $5,000 for 2022. And I'm proposing that we up Cohasset Accord from the 22 that we pay them to 40,000. We also do supply snow plowing for Cohasset Accord, sand and salt. they piggyback off our oil delivery system or oil price, but they reimburse us for what they get. So that's not really a benefit. They do get the benefit though of the snow plowing and the sand and salt. I think 22 is way too low for their costs of what they have not asked for more money, but I think it's the right thing to do. So this is my proposal, is the 40 and the 5.
So even though it says department request, they didn't request that?
I put that in there as my, because they didn't, we don't ask the organizations what they should get.
Again, I know Crocs and Accord didn't ask us for a budget increase, but based on the fact that they're still 100% volunteer, it sounds like they might go to some part-time paid.
They may,
during the
they
day.
may, and they can certainly use it. They did reach out to me and I've been trying to help them find grant opportunities for this type of stretcher.
Yeah.
That to help the EMTs backs with lifting people and it's like somehow hinges and goes into the ambulance much smoother. There's a lot out there in the, Marbletown is creating a taxing district. Rosendale and myself, the Rosendale supervisor and myself have had conversations with Mary Lou about that. The difference is Marbletown first aid covers the entire town. So it's very easy for them to do a taxing district. It's still very difficult when you have multiple jurisdictions. It can be done. I'm not saying it can't be done, but the other problem is not the problem, but the question is like Marbletown First Aid has a budget. What percentage is Rochester? When you look at the number of calls, there really is 12 or 15 calls a year in the town of Rochester.
Yeah. And the other thing is Marbletown, and it's mostly down in the High Falls area in the Clove over there, right?
Yeah, it's all that area, and it's because of proximity.
But it's about 100 houses, right?
It's about 100 houses. How many parcels it is, I'm not sure.
As opposed to the other 35 or 3,400 households that Kerhonkson and Accord takes advantage of. Again, the appearances is not equitable, although I know Marbletown does a lot of other things for us, and I'm not saying this is a payback for that, but
no, I know
it's
not, and we also didn't pay them for years.
Yeah.
And so it's not a payback, but it's a recognition of,
like that word better.
I would
services
I would
rendered.
say, if anything, Kerhonkson Accord should go up higher than the 40 I put in.
But that starts getting, yeah. All right.
It's a good start
It's a
for
start.
making progress.
We can continue to have the conversation with Mary Lou in 2022 about how to do an ambulance district. I will tell you, after the Bluestone Press article about Marbletown, I got probably 30 calls, but in that article, it said that Rochester and Rosendale, if they didn't pay, they wouldn't have coverage, which I don't believe is legal. The districts are assigned by the county, not by us. So
again, this is not we pay the $5,000 or we lose the service. They haven't threatened us with that, but at the same time, even though it's disproportionate to what we give Kerhonkson and Accord, it still is in recognition of a long-standing relationship that has gone on.
And I'm almost doubling Accord. Actually, what if we go to 45 and then we've essentially doubled what we're paying for Kerhonkson Accord?
44.
That's
okay.
44.
We can go to 44.
44.
I don't know. I've always wondered how they came up with 22,000. It's been that for forever.
I like 44.
There you go. That's big time, and I think for a one of the very last volunteer rescue squads that does an unbelievable job. We're very, very fortunate, and that's a fraction of what it would cost if they, God forbid, they ever went private.
Yes.
Agreed. Okay, moving on to the next, sorry, I just changed.
Can you, I don't understand the way the deputy highway superintendent, like why their hours are split among, can you just explain that real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you mean by whether hours are split?
Oh, that they have their pay goes on different budget.
So the deputy highway superintendent, if the town has the option to create the position or not. We have always had that position. At one time, it was paid a stipend, and then it was just some town board along the way just totally eliminated it. It is more than just the working foreman the deputy doesn't have to be the working foreman. In our case, it is.
Okay.
It's a recognition of when the highway superintendent is not there, this person is now titled the deputy. They now assume it's like the deputy town clerk. When the town clerk is not there, the reason the stipend is so low is because it's not part of their day-to-day job. It's when the highway superintendent is absent for whatever reason,
They step in.
it gives them, and it's a recognition, again, that they're doing above and beyond. It's not the working supervisor's job to be the highway superintendent.
Right.
But the actual salary is in the highway budget under working supervisor.
No, there is no salary. It's a stipend that is paid to them that's in this budget. In this particular situation, it has been the same person. The working supervisor is the deputy highway superintendent.
So is it
Okay.
just a designation that gets that stipend, or is it paid out hourly when?
It's
you know,
not
when
paid
the
out
highway
hourly, it's
superintendent-
paid out weekly, and if you divide that by
It's
52, you
$35.
will
Yeah.
see. When I started, it was, you don't see the growth of it, but I basically went from to $30 a week to 32, and now I'm going to 35.
Okay. Thank you. That explains it.
There you go.
But it's not, don't think of it as the working supervisor. It's the
Right.
deputy highway.
Okay, I
superintendent.
think I was thinking deputy highway superintendent. But you just answered my question.
Right.
It's there, we have the working supervisor and this is the stipend.
The highway superintendent can appoint
Anybody.
anybody they want to be the deputy.
It could be me, or no,
It could
probably
be.
not me, but it
Because
could be
you're
And I
anybody.
go back to your
Yeah.
example of in a town, like with the tax collector who has a separate elected tax collector, if there was a separate deputy highway superintendent, we probably be paying 10 or 12,000 a year.
Right,
So in essence, it's just a recognition of the title. It's about $1 an hour raise, basically.
got
is
it.
What I'm sort of trying to work. Ultimately, I'm trying to work up to that $40 a week for the 40 hours worked. And I've just sort of incrementally grown it since I've been in office. It sat at the same number for forever without any change. And at one point,
it got deleted.
it was deleted and just, Jeff could probably speak to it because he had that position
Right.
many years.
Got it.
So. The highway superintendent's, we didn't talk about the highway superintendent's salary, but it's a slightly, it's about a 3% increase. I could tell you exactly what it is.
Don't do that.
Hmm?
Don't
Go
do that.
on. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that'd be the end of me.
It's contagious.
$3.2.
Yeah.
Which is in line with the other raises of everybody else. Then moving on to the rest of that department. Office supplies, I lowered it a little. Now that the secretary is in the clerk's office, there's a lot of overlap of office supplies and things, so. Professional services, there really doesn't, need to be any in that line, any professional services that would be associated with that. Bear in mind, this whole budget line is for the highways, the office of the highway superintendent
Gotcha.
itself,
Right,
not the highway.
Right.
This is the highway superintendent's.
right. That's
Office.
why it's in this
Yeah,
budget.
that's why
Gotcha.
it's in our budget.
Okay.
The public notices advertising, it's rare, but if he ever had to put in something about a street closure or something, we tend to do it through Facebook, but $100 would cover one ad. So that's why I continue to put that in there. The education and conference, Jeff has been doing a lot of the online stuff, and some of the stuff through the Highway Superintendent Association is free. But I do, if he ever does decide to go to their conference, that's why I put that in there. The mileage is we supply a vehicle, so there is no need for mileage. And postage is essentially a placeholder. We could probably lower it to 75 if we really felt inclined. Why don't we?
Okay.
To be, yeah,
There you
Do something, cut something.
go.
yeah. I'd almost say go down to 50, but
We did it in the other department.
let's go down to 50.
All right.
One roll.
Yeah. The maintenance of streets line, I'm not sure why it's there. I'm not sure why in 19 there was even an expenditure, and eventually that line will go away. Street lighting, this is the street lighting that the town pays for as opposed to the 3 street lighting districts. That bill is pretty consistently about $500 to $600 a month. That's why I just hold it at that $7,000. Moving on to social services, very minimal.
Mhm.
I used to budget for constables in case the social services and the home relief is essentially, that's the home heating emergencies.
Hmm.
If we've got to go buy kerosene to put in somebody's. we
But
don't get-
you've been doing that.
Last year, I did not have to go out at all.
Oh, okay.
The year before, I went out probably 8 or 10 times. So I put the 150 in as a placeholder.
Since we're on this section, I just wanted to bring up this Woodstock home share that family of Woodstock has that helps with housing in our town that maybe we can discuss during my board time at the next meeting. But it's interesting and it helps with social services and
What is it?
elderly people. It's a way for elderly people in the community to share a portion of their house for affordable rents so that we
Oh,
can keep rents down in the whole town.
okay.
I'll share it with
Okay.
everybody.
So essentially, our entire social services budget is $150. But that's really the only, the county has taken over. I did put in, initially last year, I had put in the food assistance program, thinking that we would separate out the food pantry. But for now, we're just treating their electricity and everything as one general charge. There is a separate check meter that we could meter what they're using, but at this point, I haven't seen the need for it. So it's a valuable service they provide, and providing the electric and the heat is, to me, just part of the
Sounds
having to
good.
do it. So. But we do have in our contract that if we ever choose to, we can have that discussion, so. Veteran service, we continue to put in $1,000 for the VFW post. Sadly, I'm told they're down to like 5 members. I don't feel right cutting it. Every year I send them the letter and every year they don't return it, asking for the money. Because in order for us to pay these outside organizations, we have to send a letter where they have to sign it and tell us essentially what they're using the money for.
So they don't get it?
They haven't, because they haven't asked for it.
Okay.
And, he basically has told me that, with only 5 members, they don't really have an organized group anymore. But I continue to hope that maybe someday that will change.
Mhm.
Good idea.
So I leave the money in there unless the board wants to make that change. I just think we should leave it.
Leave it.
The other economic development, it's sort of an unspecific item number. We've put the 5,000 in past years. I'd like to just leave it again.
Yeah.
Hopefully now with the research, with new things going on, maybe we will find a reason to spend that money. Culture and recreation. Ashley said that she felt her budget pretty much was self-explanatory. I will tell you, she did provide the usual extremely detailed
Mhm.
proposal. If anybody wants to look at it, it's broken out by, I think I emailed it to everybody. Did I scan it and email it to you?
Maybe not.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought I did, so. But if anybody wants to look, she does it a little bit, I sort of combine things a little bit more. But I'm proposing an increase in salary to 39,000.
Is that a percentage?
Kind of, it was, Adam, can you do that percentage? I did have percentages here.
It's okay.
I deleted the columns.
So 37,760 by 39,000 is exactly 3.2%.
Which is about what we've consistently done
Mhm.
for everybody. So, and that was, I believe that was the ask as well. It was the ask. So. The assistant recreation director, we did just finally get back confirmation that we are able to have a full-time. So instead of the 2 part-time, now the original ask was, I think, might have been 18 an hour.
Yeah, I think that's what the difference
And,
is.
yeah, and I put it in at 1750. We went from 15 something to 17 when it became a full-time job. I do have to add in the word provisional there though, because this is a provisional position which will require a test at some point. But it's increasing from 2 20-hour-a-week people to 1 35-hour-a-week person.
Does the test have to happen in 2022?
Test happens whenever the Ulster County Personnel Office decides it's happening.
Got it. Because I was gonna say, well, if the test happens and then the person passes the test, maybe we could bump to
We could
18
consider that.
Mhm.
at that
Yeah.
point, but
Yeah.
we don't necessarily have to put that in the budget.
So, but the ask was for 18. I did indicate that going from, 15 something to 18 probably was not gonna be possible. So I compromised at 1750. So
And the recreation
the
director.
$17 an hour just started last
Yes,
week.
yeah.
So
And the recreation director, is that supposed to be like 35 hours a week? quote
yes,
unquote? Okay,
not supposed to be.
Okay,
It is.
it is,
a
okay.
35-hour-week
Okay.
position. It's a salary at 35 hours a week. Office supplies, 200 was asked, that was fine. I'm sorry, supplies and materials. Office supplies also 200. The insurance, I upped it again about 10%, maybe a little bit higher in this case. The reason there's no charge for this year is we actually ended up paying that bill. That, for some reason, that bill comes in December. That policy. I don't know why, but it does. It's part of our insurance package, but we seem to, it's one of those bills that we have to pay before the end of the year. So there will be a number in there. First, I was very confused why there wasn't, and then I went back and looked at the year before, and the bill shows up and it's due by January 1st, so it'll be in our December vouchers. But that's why we're a little bit behind on that. The printing is the newsletter that we do quarterly. We're hoping to start that back up again. We have not done that at all in 2021, or I think we did the first one in 2020, and we haven't done one since then. It's essentially a 4-page large. Potentially, we can also, Stedner's Printing has always done it for us, but potentially we can do it with our new printer. We might be able to do it cheaper with our own printer. I'll have to figure out, because by the time you buy the cost of the paper and the printing, it might just be easier just to continue to do it as Stedner's. And then the postage is, again, that's kind of a generic 150. Parks, obviously, we don't have the cost of the playground equipment this year. I took us back to $5,000 as a general placeholder for equipment for parks. The ask is, it was my own made-up number. That didn't come from the rec department.
So that's just for, sorry, just like if we have to replace.
I'm sorry?
What are you're talking about the,
I'm talking about the equipment line under parks. So the 5,000 is a placeholder for any equipment we might need to buy in general for parks.
okay,
Where did we have the 5,000 for the watershed nature trail for this year?
That's down under professional and technical.
Services.
I'm sorry. Where did we take it out of?
Operation and maintenance?
No, I'd have to go back and look.
this is something
Okay.
we could
We might hit it soon.
reduce.
What that would be, we definitely, that wouldn't be equipment,
Yeah.
I just feel like we should continue each year to try to do something in our parks.
I agree.
5,000 doesn't, the 50,000 for the playground equipment was a big one-shot deal. They were scheduled to start today, by the way, and obviously.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that would
Did
not.
not happen.
happen.
Monsoon wiped them out.
So
But Mike, are we considering finishing the paving for the basketball court?
that wouldn't be equipment. That would be either professional and technical or operation and maintenance.
Okay. So we got half of it done. It looks good. The other side's all got potholes and everything in it. And
Yeah.
kids trying to play basketball.
I just, sorry. to interrupt.
That's okay.
I just remembered that when we applied for a grant last year, did we need to get permission from the board? Because there's a Greenway grant.
In order to apply for a grant, you have to get permission from the board.
Let me tell you all about it now. It's due November 8th or something. It's a
Yeah.
Greenway grant,
Okay. Yeah.
but I could share info with you.
Yeah, why don't you do that and then we can talk about it at Thursday night. I'd rather keep pushing through on budget.
Yeah.
So, because maybe we can finish budget tonight and not have to spend time on it Thursday.
I'm just thinking about how last time we applied for the grant, we almost got the funding, but they said we weren't ready yet, and now we're more ready. So I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put something together and present it Thursday night,
The deadline is November 8th, so I'll present it Thursday night.
okay. So everybody's fine with the 5,000 for equipment?
I start it because I feel like if we need to trim
Mhm.
at some point, that might be a place where we could shave a
Yeah,
little bit off.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing specific, but a sizable park expenditure, and that doesn't just mean park, meaning the playground.
Right, it
That
means the.
rail
yeah,
trails.
Any
um,
like, yeah,
Yeah.
Veterans Park, anything.
Yeah.
yeah,
Veterans Park.
I hear that.
You know,
yeah.
Mike, that could include things like the shed for the baseball field, the bases for the
Absolutely.
baseball field.
That would.
The bases
that would
wouldn't
be
probably
the
come out of
whole-
equipment,
No.
that'd be more like, but yeah.
Okay.
But yes, absolutely, absolutely,
That will get done next year.
yes, yes. Supplies and materials, that's sort of the general upkeep and maintenance. The professional and technical. That was, Chris, that was where the 1,300, because that was what we paid for the second half of the,
Right.
so the 5,000, we haven't spent any of that yet. We approved it, but still,
Which item? Operation and maintenance?
no,
Professional.
you were
Professional
asking
and
about the
technical.
I
5,000.
see. Yes, 1,300. I see it.
Yeah, the 1,300 was, so that's where that would fall as professional and technical.
Thank you.
So if that's the case and we have that 5,000, we probably should,
Well, we just are about to spend another 3,400. Because remember, Tim has a check for Andrew. I mean, there's a check
yeah,
waiting.
was it 3,400? No, he doesn't have a check because he hasn't signed the voucher.
Yes, exactly. He
Yeah,
has to sign the voucher.
yes.
But no, we're doing
Wasn't
$2,000
34.
up front and then the final payment at the end of the year.
Right, so the total is 3,400.
Right.
But that will be this year, not next.
Oh, good point. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, let's leave it at 2,000 for now. If we find a specific need, we can always. The rent and lease, that's like one weekend rental of Flynn with the machine
Mhm.
for the rail trail.
Mhm.
That's what that 446 was. If we need to up it for some reason, we can. Bear in mind too, that hopefully next year we're
Yeah.
gonna have that major redo,
Yeah.
so we won't need to do quite so much. And the 5,000 of operation and maintenance is just based on the general, trying to think what the 440793 equals, what it was.
Was that the paving? Is that what you were saying?
No. Oh, I know what part of that was. Part of that was the mulch.
Oh, right, because we
We
paid
didn't
for that.
classify that
Yeah.
as equipment.
Mhm.
And that was like 3,000 of it. And actually, that will be reduced because Tim still hasn't done the bookkeeping to pay ourselves back
Right.
for the playground equipment and the mulch. So that will be reduced. So I think 5,000 is probably accurate. The joint recreation, the Crohnson pool. They did at one point make noise about wanting additional money, but haven't talked about it again. We did not pay anything in 2020. We did pay it in 2021 because we utilized it. All our residents are able to go to the Crohnson pool. So that 20,000 has been the number that's been in there for as long as I can remember. And that is money that we pay to the town of Warson because they manage the pool. You look like you're looking something up.
I am, but don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's for,
Indian Valley Little League, we have given them $900 traditionally. I did not budget for the Hudson Valley Babe Ruth League. I'm not certain it still is existing. I think it's because it's become a single travel team, and I just don't feel like
Yeah,
that's.
it's not open to the whole community. It's, it's based on, select individuals.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
not
Yeah, I think
not
it's-
everybody's allowed to play
I
there.
think it's not something that we should continue funding them in that case. Not that I'm saying it's not worthwhile, but it's
Mhm.
not. The Indian Valley Little League is open to everybody.
Yeah.
The Little Ones Learning Center, I upped them by $100. I don't know why, 5,200.
Because
in my
it's
mind is
a 100
$100
weeks.
a week.
Right.
Yeah.
They did not ask for that. I did that on my own. The Barracuda swim team, that certainly is available to a lot of people. And I would like to propose an addition. I read in the Bluestone Press about, and I may have the wrong name, I will get the correct name, the Roundup Valley Youth Football League.
Mhm.
They are serving 67 kids who are either playing flag football, tackle football, or cheerleading. I would like to give them add in a budget line to them to give them $900 as well.
What's the name again?
This is probably the wrong name, but the Roundup Valley Youth Football, and I'll find out their exact
See if
name.
I can't find it for you quick.
I did get a contact phone number of the organizer of the event. I know a lot of there's a lot of carryover from the people who play in Little League who are involved in this program. And the Bluestone did a really nice article on it, on the program a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know, it was their last edition or 2 editions ago. But it caught my eye and I inquired about it. And to me, I don't know where the $900 came about, but that's what's given to the Little League and Barracudas. And
Mhm.
I want to recognize that it's a youth sporting recreational thing that is our community is doing.
And it's available to everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's a cost. I mean, just like Little League, there's a cost per person that the parents have to pay, but this helps offset that.
So I can find it real quick. I can't seem to find
It's
it.
okay. I'll get the actual name before the final budget. Certainly Roundup Valley Youth Football is fine for the moment. So that will be a $900 add that I would like to do. And that budget line, if you care, is going to end in 476, the next number.
Why not just, because we need the Babe Ruth to stay for a few years?
Yeah, I'd like to just leave it for the moment. We'll just keep adding. It's just a number code. I'm still bound and determined to have summer concerts, and I continue to put $500 in there in hopes that we can actually have. Horsing does, like in the month of August, they do like 4 different band concerts where they have, Shangum does it at their. We have such a great park pavilion, it could easily be done. People could come, So maybe this year will be the year we get it done.
Let's do it.
Yeah. It could be at
Well-
the amphitheater on Crum Road.
There you
You
go.
know that old granite?
Yeah,
There you go.
I haven't been there yet, but from above, it looks like the giant amphitheater.
very cool up there.
The youth program, the after-school aids, the hours, it will be 2,520 hours. You can kind of forget the by 4 number. It's just a total of,
Gotcha.
I am hoping that in 2022, with the start of the new year, we'll be able to start the after-school program.
Roundup Valley Youth Football and Cheer Program.
There you go.
Hmm.
You run out youth football. I had
There you
it,
go.
had it pretty good.
And cheer also?
And Cheer Program.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was in cheerleading after the football season was over.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
I was a thrower.
See those guys and ladies on ESPN. Unbelievable.
Yes. It was.
So that is proposed as, let me just get the hourly, that is proposed. to be Paid at $13.50 an hour, which is what Ashley told me that the county was paying the assistance that came from the county for our summer program. I do have to verify, the last time I looked, minimum wage was not yet posted for 2022. That was in September. I don't know, Adam, can you just Google quick and see if New York State minimum wage for upstate? I think $13.50 probably is still above, but I want to be sure.
Minimum wage, Department of Labor. 1320, New York State, State Department of Labor, New York City is 1320.
Really? I thought New York City was 15.
This is.
Make sure you're looking at 2022.
That's for 2021. You're right.
They may not have posted it yet. I don't know why. It normally is posted by now, but in September, when I was doing the preliminary budget, it was not, it said to be determined. Not yet available.
1320.
That's what Adam just said.
Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester counties will join New York City at $15 an hour. The minimum wage for companies upstate outside of fast food, the minimum wage will increase to $13.20, which is an increase from $12.50 per hour.
Okay. So we're going from 12.50 to 13.50, so $1 an hour increase for those. And that's our after-school staff, which Ashley uses as needed, when needed. And it's not to exceed the 2,520 hours, and that's based on her projection. So I don't really feel the need to micromanage that. I think that's what she asked for. The summer rec aids, she's also again pretty specific. In the past, we had 3 rec aides and 1 summer counselor that was paid at a higher rate. We're just going to go with 4 rec aides, which is what we did this summer. And they will all be paid the same at $17.50 an hour. We paid them at $17 an hour this year. So we'll up them 3% raise to $17.50. I'm sorry. I was looking in the wrong column. We paid them $16.60 an hour this year. She's asking to up them to 17, which is not quite a 3% raise. 3% raise would be 17.10. If we wanted to go up a little bit on it, we could. These tend to be adults who are either work at the school and come work with us in the summer. I think, do you want to go to 17.25? I can tell you what it would be.
I think it's just 3.8%.
It's 11,799 will be the budget.
That seems fine to me.
Okay, it's only 100 and some.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, the wind's picking up. That's what that was. I thought the door was opening.
The summer counselors, each of those line items is at $13.50 an hour. And currently we didn't exist this summer, but we didn't have any summer counselors because she was able to get a number of them through the county. And so all we hired this year was the 4 summer rec aides, but hopefully next year's program will be back to the norm. And so they would be at $13.50 an hour. So that's the next 2 budget lines. The 0.113 line is going to not be filled. And then the event staff, that is when in the past, that was when our part-time assistant recreation directors went on trips and things. Now that I'm thinking about it, now that we have a full-time assistant recreation director, I don't know that we actually need.
Event staff.
Because that was specifically for.
Oh, I'm
those.
sorry. No, I take that back. This event staff, Ashley projected $513. That's when she brings in additional aids for things like the Easter egg hunt.
Oh,
I'm
right,
sorry.
those special
Yeah.
events.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
special
yeah,
events.
got it.
So I upped it to $600. She had asked for 513. I'm sorry, I was confusing myself for a moment. Moving on to supplies and materials. She asked for 2,000. I think that's realistic. You can't really look at 2021's numbers because we didn't do much of a program. The food, we didn't spend very much. She's asking for 2,150, which is what we had in previous years. Transportation, we're keeping it at 7,500. She did a really good job of getting a lot of it reimbursed. But I think that's essentially one bus for the summer, for the 18 trips that they do. Field trips, she's confident in the 9,000. She did an amazing job of getting a lot of that reimbursed for various places. Entertainment is just a general, if they have an event where they need to, they hire a DJ or something like that, that's the $200. The t-shirts, trophies, and awards are primarily for the basketball program. We're not able to start it yet because we're not able to get Kerhonks in school, but apparently Mike Smith, who has coordinated this for a number of years, is working on that, and hopefully come January, we'll be able to start again. So,
Again, that's a variable expense.
yeah, the
Whatever we-
t-shirts,
whatever we
we
bring
do
in.
end up buying t-shirts for the summer program, and that's what that $740 some is, that's there.
Mhm.
The basketball assistants is, again, that's the people that coordinate. That's the scorekeepers, timekeeper.
Referee.
I don't think we pay the referees. I
Nope.
don't think we do.
No. Okay.
I'll be honest, I've never seen an invoice. The scorekeepers, the timekeeper, and then the coordinator of the whole program, who essentially puts together all the teams, and
Mhm.
it's an amazing job that he does, and he loves doing it. And that number has been the same for quite some time.
So this is a more robust program than those other leagues that we're supporting.
Yeah.
like Little League.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But this is our
This is
our rec
Our
program.
rec
I see.
basketball
So
program.
they
We're supporting those other things that are.
We're supporting those others. We're allowed under New York State law to provide youth recreation or recreation in general funding to organized organizations. Sorry, that's a little redundant, organized organizations, but
Interesting.
they have to be able to tell us what they are doing with the money. I mean, they don't have to specifically submit, we spent this much on this, we spent this much on this, but they have to give us a general idea. But we are allowed under New York State town law. We have to be able to account for the tax dollars. But these outside organizations that are providing a service that we don't really provide, like we don't have our own baseball program.
Yeah.
We have our own basketball program.
Yeah.
And that's funding
And
this.
those kids, they go from 5 years old to, right through high school. And a lot of times it's the kids that can't make the school team, because there's a very limited amount of spaces. But our rec team is some of those kids, but more likely, kids that didn't make the 12 kids that are allowed to play basketball for the high school.
And it funds itself because we sell sponsorships.
Yeah, I remember Mike is
There's
great at
business-
it. My son was in it.
Yeah, there's businesses that pay to sponsor, just like Little League. There's businesses that pay to sponsor the teams, and that's all shown on the revenue side in the recreation fees. So while our recreation budget may look big, it is, Ashley does a really good
Right.
job of detailing it.
Yeah, we're almost dollar for dollar what we take in,
Almost.
paying out. So
The
even though
only
there's a
thing
lot
we
of
pay
dollars.
out above and beyond is essentially the program's
Right.
salaries.
Yeah.
Right.
But the program itself funds itself.
Right.
I do remember having a conversation with a former councilman about how it's not supposed to make a profit. This is to support our
No,
community. And
right.
so the break even nature is a bonus.
It
Yeah.
keeps it
Yeah.
affordable.
Keeps it
and-
affordable, but it allows us to do things like pay the people that coordinate
Right.
this a reasonable amount of money for the amount of work they do.
It is a true
Nice.
community service.
Yeah.
And when you think about what like a travel soccer coach or travel baseball coach makes, that's like a real salary. This is, if you, God forbid, you ever broke it out by the hour, it'd be pennies an
Well, and
hour.
they,
if you
and we
worked it
do
in.
have to send them a 1099 because they make greater than $600. So then they become responsible for their taxes and all
Yeah.
that on top of it. So
Okay, thank you.
Ellenville Public Library remains the same. I did, after we did the tentative budget, I did get a letter from the Stone Ridge Library that because you remember, they give us 100 subscriptions. She's now saying that 100 subscriptions for this year will be $13,133.
Or 238? It was 238 bucks. You're talking about Stone Ridge?
Yes. What are you talking about, 238?
Thought it was 238,
No,
Subscriptions or memberships?
no, they give us 100 subscriptions.
100.
Yeah. I don't know where 238 came
So
from.
$131 a membership.
Yeah.
Really?
238 sounds specific.
I
Yeah, I
don't
thought
know.
it was 238
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not 100.
because it's like $55.
I
So,
I don't know, but I'll have to, she sent me a letter that said, in order to, because of the way, what the Marbletown, because the Marbletown taxpayers pay a library tax. Marbletown is a library district. They pay a library tax. So because of that, this is,
Right.
I'll bring a copy of the letter on Thursday. So
Okay.
you can all see
Yeah.
it.
Great.
so when I was looking on, when I was searching on my computer and you were like, what are you looking for? It was back when I checked on how many people had been claiming those memberships.
Mhm.
It like wasn't as much as it had been in previous years back in March.
Right.
And so I was just I shot her an email to ask if, like, at what point did they all get claimed?
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if they're being used as quickly.
No, they all are being used. I know
Okay.
that. I know that.
Okay.
So, but I don't, 238 doesn't sound right to me. I thought it was 100, but I'll bring a copy of the letter.
Okay.
I filled in the number when I read the letter. The 13,133 is the new number that they're asking for.
Okay,
Last year it went up by $375. And she said in the letter that did not, the 375 that they raised did not equate to the same amount that the Marbletown residents are paying. So
Hmm,
to give you, you may not remember that, Adam. So the background is a lot of the northern Rochester, closer to Stone Ridge people didn't want to go all the way to Ellenville. We are in a really weird situation where we are the dividing line between two library systems.
Catskill, Ramapo. and-
Ellenville is run through the school district. And that's why we're able to just, it's not a taxing district.
Mhm.
Whereas Stone Ridge is the Marbletown Library. Every Marbletown resident gets a library tax and they vote on budget every year. And so whatever amount of subscriptions they allow for Rochester, she multiplied it by the same as what Marbletown's people are paying. And that's how she came out with this number.
And we have a certain amount of subscriptions that were,
That are available to us.
Mhm.
And as far as I know, I think maybe with the COVID, that may have been, because normally they are gone by January.
right, yeah, and this
Um,
year we had half left. I just looked on the website. It is 238.
It is
And the
238.
fee, they
Okay.
do like this prorated
Okay,
fee, and last year it was like 52 something.
Okay.
So yeah. When in March, I checked,
I don't know why, I didn't remember 238. I don't know why I thought it was 100. But
in March, I checked and we still had half of them left. And they said that was maybe a little bit more than usual, but they thought they'd probably,
But by the end of the year, they were all
but
used.
I never followed up. So I sent her an email just to make sure.
Just, I mean, I know this is probably a legacy thing, but any reason why we just don't pay per use per time? I mean, why do we got to fork over a check for 13 grand? Can't we get billed monthly?
They won't do it that way.
No.
Because when you join a membership, it's a year-long membership.
Okay.
So.
'Cause I'm looking at your numbers over there. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, by September, it's only $17 a person, you know?
Mhm.
Right.
So.
And I don't know if they might prorate them.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
But
I didn't
by
ask
this,
that.
but this budget
But they
line, we're
don't,
getting.
because every Marbletown resident, by paying the tax.
Right.
Can come use the
From
library.
free.
From January to
In
December.
Whereas our-
January, yeah,
Whereas
because-
our residents, if you are in Rochester and you want to join, and there are these, you get one, but if these get used up, then this is what you have to pay.
Oh, that's
if
what you
you're-
have to pay.
If you're a
above and beyond.
Rochester.
For the rest of the
resident.
year. So say the 238 are missing, but you come in June, you owe $30 if you want to use the
Yeah,
library.
exactly.
But that's what
But
I'm
if-
saying is we're buying 238 at the full year.
But we,
when-
in past years, when Brian Drapkin was the liaison, because Brian is a user.
Yeah.
Brian,
He did the numbers.
yeah, and if you, believe me, if Brian did the numbers, it was a good, we were getting a good deal.
Gotcha.
But in past, pre-COVID, they were all gone by February,
Right.
March.
So he's the
And
one
there
that
was a
came up
waiting
with
list.
238, you're saying?
No, they came up with 238
Okay.
based on the amount. The 12.5 was negotiated at one point, and the 238 matched the 12.5. What happened was our number never changed,
Right,
but their tax for Marbletown did change.
Mhm.
So we were essentially getting a
Less.
deal,
right.
and rather than lower our number, she came back last year and said, okay, we're gonna raise to 375, which I think was probably a made-up number.
Right. So we're,
This 13,133 is very specific. So they're billing us so much per membership.
right.
It was 238.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 238 by their number should have been 12,483. Last year we paid 12,875. If we take their number.
Let
this
me
year-
bring the letter and then you'll
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
she outlines it all in the letter.
Okay.
So before we try to overly analyze it, let me bring the letter.
But this
You can
are
all see it.
basically what they're saying is the Marbletown residents are paying,
Every Marbletown resident,
this-
whether they use the
it's
library or
like
not, is paying a
$55
tax.
a year
Yeah.
of taxes.
Yeah. Every
Yeah.
Marbletown household.
Whereas they're just asking us to pay the equivalent
Right.
per the households that we
Right.
want. So instead of it just being on it's like spread out among the entire town here,
Right.
instead of it being every.
That's true too.
So, and as far as I know, it's you. Now, the one thing is any Rondout Valley student is able to use it.
So that was the other thing I was wondering, because that's new. I was
They
wondering if
started
that,
that.
might have impact, that's another thing that could have impacted the use
Demand.
rate.
Yeah.
But
So,
Nice.
okay, Friends of Historic Rochester, we have always given them $5,000 to help operate the museum. I see no reason to change that.
Right.
Historian, the $500 has just been a stipend that we have paid to our historian. It's a title, every town must have a historian. And it's a title that Kate is serving as it right now. Previously, it was Schoonmaker for a long, long time. Some years Alice never got around to billing us, and she said, "Oh, I'm not sending you a bill." With Kate, because she's an employee, we're putting it quarterly into her paycheck. The historical property, the HPC asked for a little bit more money this year. They asked for $200 for office supplies. I cut that to 100. I'm not sure what, being that it's an organization that doesn't really have an office, obviously they do have members who are paying money for certain things, and I think what I have to do is clarify for them that if they need something specific, we need to order it and get it to them. The $200 was just something one of their members suggested. I took it down to 100. We've never paid it at all. And previously they never have asked for it. So I think it was kind of an arbitrary number of, oh, let's ask for $200. If they need more, we can certainly pull out of other office supply budgets. But is that
Yeah, makes sense.
okay? Professional services, it was asked in their ask for subscriptions to magazine or to local newspapers and things. And I'm a little sort of not really sure of what exactly is being asked for. I can, let me find it real quick and I can tell you what was said. I did email that, but I don't remember off the top of my head. They asked for subscription to newspapers would enable us to do interesting research on events and people in Rochester and other places in the region while increasing participation in our Instagram site. It's a very specific ask. They asked for $197.80. I rounded it up to 200. I'm not
Makes
really
sense.
sure I understand what the ask is though.
It's like a
They want-
research expense.
They want the newspaper.
Yeah, but who's it gonna go to? Is it gonna go to one of their members?
Uh-huh.
That's a little, again, because they don't have an office, so how is this gonna sort of be, I guess my question is this is available in many other ways. It's available online already. I mean, I guess I'm asking is, and I know you're a newspaper person, but why are we paying for a hard copy of, well, it's just a subscription. I guess it could be an
Yeah.
online subscription.
Yeah. I know Bluestone has their content on Medium. They don't have their own website.
No,
And Shawangunk Journal has a paywall.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't say which, oh,
Yeah.
to newspapers.com.
Yeah.
Where does it say
It
that?
says that on the
Oh, okay.
title.
Oh, there it is. What is newspapers.com?
I'm looking it up.
We're about to
now.
find out.
Oh, by ancestry.
Oh, so they can look up all the old
Oh.
ones.
That's cool.
That is kind of cool.
So what
Ah.
Okay,
happened in our
then.
town?
Hi.
The largest online newspaper archive, 21,700 plus newspapers from the 1700s through the 2000s.
Awesome.
For $200,
Okay.
that sounds like a deal.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
gonna,
cool.
I'm gonna leave it at 200. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna put in 197.80.
Yes.
I'm not
That
gonna get
makes-
into pennies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
That makes
thank you,
sense.
Aaron.
Yeah.
You know, I just saw subscription to newspapers and I somehow missed the .com. I was trying to figure
I
out,
almost missed it too. I just
Yeah.
was like, wait a second.
okay.
Very cool. That's cool.
The
Well, if we borrow that,
1,500 for the
we'll do a little bit.
miscellaneous is, I've left it at that. That covers everything from a couple years ago. We paid for the sign, the new historical marker. It's just their sort of general operating. Now, we were asked for publicity, sound equipment rental, miscellaneous expenses, $1,500. Now, it was specifically said for a train day event, but I think the $1,500 is sort of their operating budget for the year. Like they used it for the Canal Day. They also used it for that other event that they had where we had the art walk. I think we leave that at 1,500.
And their actual expenditure on that same budget line is higher.
But look
But
back,
that's-
look back at the contractual, there's a negative
Oh, yeah.
1350.
Mhm.
That has to be pulled out of that, so.
Oh, okay.
And postage, they did a one-shot mailing about the historic district.
Mhm.
I don't think they normally have postage, so I'm gonna not put anything in postage. for
They
them.
didn't request.
Yeah, their actual expenditure is only like $780 if you take out that 1350.
Oh, okay. Sorry if you said that. I apologize.
No. So, celebrations, I upped it to 2,000 from 1,000. I'd like to try to do more, and based on how Heritage Day went, I'm anticipating we will do something more. Bear in mind, the fireworks were
I was
3,500.
just about to say.
They're not showing there yet, and I still have to move some money around. Well, I already did move some money around to
Right.
pay for those, but do we want to go higher?
Do you want fireworks?
It was a great display.
Yeah.
That covers everything, the Memorial Day Parade, everything else. So if we are going to do the fireworks, maybe we should go to 4,000.
Right.
Why don't we, let's put it in and we can see where we stand, and we can always.
Put a star next to it.
I know, that's what I'm
Put that big
doing.
star next to it.
Uh,
We'll see.
My birthday is July 4th, so I love fireworks.
There you go. That's
But-
awesome.
But my Native American friend just reprimanded me about how they disturb so much wildlife.
Really?
I was like, "Man, I was born on July 4th.
The senior programs, we were asked by the Rochester seniors, they sent a very nice letter back quite some time ago. I may or may not have it with me
Did
here.
we go up to 4 on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
With a star next to it.
And now we only have 5 more pages to review tonight.
We are
No,
on
because
our-
we still have to do income.
we still have to do the revenue side, but that goes quick.
Okay.
It's 8:40. Do you want to push through? I think by 9:30 we can be done.
Let's go real fast.
All right, I had tea earlier, so I am.
So the Cohasson Accord Jewish seniors and the Cohasson Accord Golden seniors, there are smaller senior groups. The Rochester seniors is the heart and soul of our senior group.
Okay.
They've asked for an additional 2,000 a year. I will tell you, they give us back a very generous donation to the town of Rochester every year. So essentially, we give them money and they give it back to us. They also pay directly for their exercise classes. So I would like to honor their request for the 5,000. I think the letter might have been in. No, I didn't put it in
I
there.
don't have that.
Yeah,
So they use the money to do,
they use the money to do their senior events.
right, but then
They-
people do donations to the program? Is that why they give us money back?
No, they make a donation for the luncheons we hold.
Oh, I see.
So essentially, they do it on their own.
Okay.
We give them $3,000 and they have always given us back a very nice donation. I'm not entirely sure I have the letter. But it has been at that 3,000 for quite some time. Oh, here it is. Look at that. So they're writing this letter, they sent it back in August, to make a formal request. They've been receiving 3,000 since 2005. Requesting an increase of $2,000. We'd like to continue contributing to the programming through the recreation, the holiday luncheons and turkey donations. They'd also like to continue giving to the youth. They make a donation every year for the youth summer program. And that shows up back in our donation side. They also would like to pay their exercise instructor an increase in the fee. And so that is their reasoning. I think it is if you come by here during the daytime, we now have 5 days a week. Well, we're at 4 right now because the line dancing is temporarily postponed.
Aye.
So.
I'm good. Well deserved.
Adult recreation, we just have an event staff line that's for assistance in when we do the adult recreation or the Thanksgiving luncheon, the Mother's Day brunch, if we get, and we've been doing those as to goes. So we haven't needed the event staff, but that's where Ashley brings in some additional people that from the after school program that she pays to help out organizing. So it's a small budget item.
Mhm.
Supplies and materials, she was very specific. I think she looked back at what she spent previously. She said 1174. I rounded it up to 1200. Food, she was at 1787. I rounded it up to 1800. Speakers and instructors, that is the line dancing program. We also are having to add a second exercise program, and the deal I worked out with them is the seniors are paying for one session, and we're gonna pay for the other session
Nice.
for the rest of the year.
Very nice.
We have line dancing, which isn't happening right now, so I went ahead and okayed that. And the transportation, that's, we continue to try to have at least 1 or 2 bus trips for adults. So that's what that line item is for. Moving on to general environment. The ZBA secretary, there was an ask in general for a sizable increase. I budgeted it at 18, it's currently at $17 an hour. I budgeted it with a $1 an hour increase. It was asked for a greater increase. I think it was just a percentage increase. But that's almost a 20% increase from what's there now. So that $1 an hour increase is probably about a 5. You can figure it out for me, Adam.
Yeah, I think it's more.
It's more than 3.
Yeah. 92.48. 80 is 15%. Oh, it was what they asked for. What the
Oh, that's what was asked.
yeah,
for,
what we're
15%.
proposing.
Yeah,
We're proposing
That's
is
6%.
97.
that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate. You know, it's a department head level job without being a department head.
Mhm.
So, or supervisory employee without having anybody else to supervise. But I think it's appropriate to go to the $18 an hour for that position. But not to the 15% increase
Okay.
that was asked for. We do need to buy a new laptop. The laptop that we have, Aaron can tell you, it does not work with the camera for Zoom.
Yeah.
So it would make life a lot easier if, well,
I was just about to ask a question. If
We-
we're gonna get that, do we
yeah.
need the, I
well,
mean,
we
we probably need a
still
laptop
should
anyway.
have a
but-
laptop anyway. It was budgeted at 475. Oh, the laptop would be split half between planning board and half between, it was budgeted, they asked for 950. Based on the cost of laptops through Fish, we can probably get one for about $600 to $700. So that's why I lowered it to 350. And then 350 will be on the planning board. It was asked for a desk scanner. We just got a super copy machine that can scan just about anything. I'm not sure why we need a desk scanner when we can just walk to the copy machine and scan. So I removed that. If anybody feels differently about it.
Also, do you know the little notes app on phones? It's called Notes. There's a scanner in there that's amazing. I use it all the time.
But I think with the copy machine we have, there's really no reason to have to buy. And again, these are split half and half. So that would be $90. So I'm not funding that. But the desk lamp, I would agree to get a decent desk lamp. Looking at maps all day and plans and stuff in low light or overhead fluorescence. I think, and they said if you look at what I scanned to you guys, they asked for very specific models.
Mhm.
So,
Looks good.
the office supplies, I think $180 is probably reasonable. Again, these are all split half and half. The member stipends, the 2580 is if every member attended every meeting.
Right.
But I feel like we should budget for that possibility. Public notices advertising, 400 seems to be okay for the ZBA. Education and conference, I included 200 because that's what we've always included in the past, but we have 6 members, we have 5 in the alternate. How about we raise 300 and basically say there's budgeted $50 per member for training classes. There's a lot of free ones out there, but if there are some that have small amounts, is everybody okay if we raise that to 3?
I think we are.
The postage, nothing got billed to ZBA. I think that's because when things come over in our office building, it automatically gets budgeted, gets billed to the planning board. And I'm gonna try next year to make sure that that gets separated better. Because I'm
I see.
fearful that every letter coming from this office is being billed to the planning board, and it's probably a mistake. Now moving on to planning. Again, it was a sizable ask. I did it at the $18 an hour.
I was wondering what the board would think about meeting the ask in the middle, which would be.
Well, I think it
1850.
throws us way off with our other,
Oh, yeah, Where-
employees.
Yeah.
So,
and the way when you said it was like a department head without any employees, that's what you're thinking of.
$18 an hour is comparable. I mean, we could go higher, but it's a sizable increase in pay too.
I guess, I think looking at it comprehensively is better. So I think you're right.
To
'Cause-
match.
Huh?
To match what we're doing with others.
Well, looking at it in a holistic way. Like, I don't have that. I was just flipping through like, how much do we pay this for? Again, because I don't have it, like, in, so I think,
It fits better in the sort of overall picture of what other departments are paid, in my opinion.
mhm.
I mean, if you want to, I will have that chart for you by Tuesday.
By Tuesday? By this Thursday?
Yeah,
Oh,
I just need to finish cleaning it up.
okay.
I think it's a justifiable number. 25.2.
Okay.
It's a bigger percentage raise than we typically are
Right.
giving.
It's almost a 6%.
It's-
Now,
yeah, it's 6%.
admittedly, this was a new employee who started at a lower rate, but, and I know right now, it was a couple years ago, it was a part-time employee.
Right,
because
we
we
just
didn't
made it
have-
full-time.
We made it full-time. We have a lot of volume right now, but there's nothing that says that that's going to continue either. So. I think it's a reasonable raise. Yeah. If you want to try to make the argument to go a little higher, I wouldn't fight it, but I think it fits in our schedule.
Let's leave it for now. I'm
Okay.
not looking at the schedule. You look at it every day, so let's leave it.
Okay. The laptop and the desk lamp are the other two half of the equipment.
Right,
The office supplies is again half and half. 275 was asked, but if you look at what was spent so far this year, it was only $27. I'm not sure what justified that ask. We did have an ask for $5,000 for professional services. Now, this would be the planner
yes.
who is attending planning board meetings, and right now I believe is just, we're not paying for their services. I think they're just attending out of the goodness of their heart, because when an application does get referred to them through the escrow account,
Right,
then they're billing for those hours. This is much like what we said with our attorney,
Yes.
is that we pay for the attorney's time at meetings plus 1 hour. Bear in mind, our attorney has told us many times that, like in Wawarsing, she just tracks the meeting time and each application is billed that amount of their time. I'm a little leery of that because meeting time is sort of under our control.
Could turn into a discussion, could
Yeah,
get sidetracked.
And I don't think it's fair to bill an applicant based on, if a board has 100 questions about an application,
Or new members got a lot of questions. New member of the
yeah,
board's
and
got a lot
that's
of
where I
questions.
get,
or-
review of documents outside the meeting is one thing. So I put the 5,000 in as a placeholder, and what I would do is, starting January, we would have a very clear agreement with our planning consultant that ours, this is a stipend that we will pay you so much a month to attend the meetings. I'm not gonna get into they're billing us hourly. I'm gonna say, we will,
Per meeting.
and maybe we up it to 6,000, and then that's $500. That's
500 a meeting.
100 a month.
500 a month. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not divisible by 12 right now, which is concerning. Now, some meetings, some months they have two meetings, some months they only have one.
right. And they don't ask the planner, like, the
So-
planner was there at this past workshop.
Yeah, they're not necessarily at every meeting. So maybe we just say to the planner, look, we will pay you maybe we just say, we'll pay you $5,000 a year and we expect you to come to every meeting.
That's handy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to do that contract, then we can always say, well, we'll look for another planner. I mean, I don't mean to be that abrupt, but
Yeah.
it seems reasonable.
Mhm.
I agree.
They also, so it, the way it was phrased in the ask was, that they also want to be able to ask, they also want there to be a little funds in there for them to just go to CPL,
Right,
like, not just at the meetings,
to
but
ask questions.
to ask questions,
yeah.
kind of the way we have that with,
Yeah.
Mary
Mary
Lou
Lou.
bills it hourly,
Mary Lou bills it hourly.
but they want to have a budget for it, I think. So it might not use all of it.
Okay, well, we'll have to reach out to CPL and we'll find out first if it's this, it's gonna, I don't want to make any assumptions, but
Right.
whoever our planner may be. But putting 5,000 in the budget for that line then seems to make sense.
Yep.
Um,
Sounds good.
The ZBA doesn't seem to need the same thing, so.
No.
The member stipends, the 4480 is the calculation. There was a percentage included on top of it. We just gave an increase to from what we pay last year.
Mhm,
I think we stay the same.
mhm.
I'm not quite sure why it was done as a percentage increase, but
Yep.
the public notice is advertising. Clearly $500 no longer is enough with the
Right.
amount. Bear in mind that an awful lot of that is reimbursed back to us. So 1,100 is what I'm putting in. Education conference, it was asked for $1,000. We have, we did $50 a member and we have 8 members on the planning board, 7 + 1. I think we should actually also include probably should include the secretary in that too. So essentially it's 8.5 and should have been 5.5 on the other. So maybe we go back to the ZBA and up that by $25 more.
On conference education.
Yeah, so instead of 300, it'd be 325. And if we did 50, so 425 for planning.
Okay.
And that's essentially, we can now tell definitively, you have $50 budgeted for training for each member.
Hmm.
Use it as you choose. Does that seem,
Sounds good.
yeah, 8 times 50 is, no, I'm sorry. 8 times 50 is 400. plus
400.
25, so 425.
So that's the
That would be the planning board.
472,
Yes,
and then, so that's going down,
yes.
and then the,
Yes. We have budgeted this many years and never really used it. So. I mean, there is so much training out there available, especially right now by Zoom. There's so much available out there. And I think, I suspect that kind of training methodology is going to continue. I don't think you're gonna see these big conferences and things anymore.
Mhm.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Postage, they asked for 417. I put 400 in as a placeholder.
Skip.
We did it.
yeah, we did this already.
Refuse and garbage, we already did.
Code enforcement?
Moving on. Code enforcement officer's salary, what was asked for, Aaron, do you have the?
Yeah,
ask,
I've
Candy?
got it.
Yeah. It was a certain percentage and I lowered it a little bit.
Yeah, they,
Was it a 4%?
5%.
5%. And I believe I lowered it to, what's the percentage there? Adam?
Working on it.
Yeah.
260 is almost exactly 3.
Okay. Does the board feel okay with that? It stays consistent with what we've done. I didn't feel like there's a lot of work and that department's going crazy right now. I could be convinced to go to 4 if you want to split the difference.
Oops, I'm missing a 0 there. Yeah, and we were doing like 3.2%
Yeah.
for others, so I
Yeah.
think,
What is a 4%, Adam?
Yep.
Now we gotta just make sure it's divisible by 52, because his is a salary, so I gotta make sure it's divisible by 52.
52,880 cents.
no, it's not.
So 52.
Oh, well, it
800.
is.
No,
Actually.
52,800 is not, I can't do it in sets. so-
Oh, okay, I see.
80.
Yeah,
So 52, be 1,015. 1,015 times 52 would work out to 52,780,
okay.
and that would be that would be a smidge under 4.
What was the weekly?
1,015.
Okay, let me just fill that in here while I'm here.
Double check.
So that's $10 more a week than I was proposing. That's a $40 a week raise as opposed to a $30 a week raise.
What's the hourly for the zoning coordinator position? Did you, oh, I'm sorry.
Let's finish what I'm working on before we jump ahead, sorry. So what was that amount, Adam? I'm sorry, I just want to.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was 52,780.
80.
Okay, got it. Okay, the zoning coordinator is a 40-hour week job right now.
Right,
It was asked to go back to 35 hours, but not have a decrease in the weekly amount.
oh,
That was, or it was asked that there be an increase, so. So,
Oh, I see. I didn't understand that.
yeah.
Okay.
Bear in mind, the budgeted amount that is in the budget from this year was not, that number is never amended, because remember, we had a new person start in February who is making less than what was the original person was making.
Mhm.
So right now, the salary for the year, it's $800 a week right now for 40 hours. They are asking to keep that amount, but go down to 35 hours. We actually would have to probably adjust that, because we'd have to figure out what the hourly rate is for that, but,
22.86.
oh, it is, exactly?
Well,
No.
no.
Yeah,
It's
so I
like
need it to be to the penny, so we would have to adjust it.
yeah, I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
So it would be.
Okay.
Be $799.75
Okay.
would be 22.85.
But you're also talking about a 12% raise.
Right.
Yeah,
So
whereas they were asking for 5%, I thought, in the office.
they were
That's-
asking, well, they're asking for 5% and keeping it at 40 hours. And then they came back and said, well, no, really, I'd rather go down to 35 hours. I just don't want to make less money. And I was like,
Me
well,
too.
I don't know if we can have it both ways.
Yeah.
There's another way around it. We could say, how about you go down to 37.5 hours? Essentially, they'd work at 8.5, a 7.5 hour day instead of an 8 hour day. And I don't know what that, if you kept that 41.6 at 37.5,
Gotcha.
I don't know what that comes out to be.
21.33 an hour.
Yeah, I'd rather it be a whole like
That's
nickel or a 5 or a 0 on the end. But
And that, you know, that's 6.5%. And then your number would be? Oh, sorry.
I was-
I wasn't figuring out to the penny. I was more looking at percentages, although. half
So
of
we're
13
saying
Half of 13, 6.5.
37.5.
Or the other alternative is we go back and you say, look, we'll give you, we gave the code enforcement officer 4%. We could give a 4% raise, but say you got to stay at 40 hours.
Or like I said, I mean, I know nobody wants to go down, but that's not realistic unless,
I agree.
so if they're at $20 an hour times.
Is that what it is?
1.04.
20 an hour,
Yep.
it's $800.
Would be $20.80 by 35 hours. It would be $728 a week instead of 800.
Which is probably the tentative, the 38,220 that I put in there is probably that.
Times 52 would be 37,856.
Oh,
It's better than.
You did, I see what you did, Mike. You did a 5% wage increase at 35 hours.
Yeah,
Oh.
I just did 4%.
okay. Yeah, I did a 5. Okay, thank you. I
That's
couldn't
a,
remember.
yeah,
how I
that's a
calculated it.
5%. I was
So
just.
what I
doing-
did is I went down to 35 hours and did a 5% wage increase.
Yes,
But that's $3,400 less a year. So
then what they're
yeah,
asking.
it's up to us to decide.
Right.
It was just approached to me as, does this need to be a 40-hour-a-week job? And I said, no, they went into it as a 40-hour-a-week job because that's what we had done with the previous employee.
So.
And we are, the deputy town clerk that is assigned there, we have upped them from 28 to 35 hours.
Right,
So they are now full-time.
but they're also gonna have a big project.
Oh, yeah. And that office does,
Well,
2 full-time people in that office, believe me,
Yeah.
I stop by there a lot. They are busy.
Well, that was my question is what's required? Is 35 enough or is 40 needed?
The 40 was to be able, we're only open 35 hours to the public.
Okay.
The 40 was to allow extra time when the public wasn't, when the phone wasn't ringing, when somebody wasn't knocking on the door.
Right.
It can be done in 35 hours. It doesn't have to be done in 40 hours.
So is what's being said here is the same amount of work will happen in 35 hours. Is that what's being said here?
Essentially, yes.
So,
But the question is, because now if we're
But it's-
keeping the
it's
same
a
amount of
hourly
money, now
wage.
it's an hourly wage. It's not a salary.
This is not a salaried position.
mhm.
We could, another option is we could choose to make it a salary position, in which case.
But that
it's-
means the duties have to be done. It's not.
Right, and if that means working, if it's a salary position, if this week you gotta work an extra 2 or 3 hours, you're on salary.
Dangerous because the amount of work that comes through there and how it fluctuates,
Yeah,
you know. But again, what we can't do is pay the same amount of money
for 35 hours.
for less hours. We can't, you know, it's.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
No, it's a bad precedent.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying, pay the same amount of money for 37 and a half. I don't, did you ever do the math, what that came
Yep.
out to?
Yeah, so 37 and a half hours, it depends on the increase though, obviously. But if
No,
you do,
no, with no increase.
okay, yeah, so,
Just the same amount of money, the 41,600
yeah, so
divided by
it'd
37 and a half.
would be 750 a week times 52, would be 39,000 even.
Oh, no, that's,
Sorry, getting late.
yeah, you're not. I'm trying to figure out what the hourly wage is, if it's.
it's
if-
a
$20.
21.33. It's
No,
like,
no, I'm not, I'm trying to find out what the hourly is if we we keep the salary, the total amount the same, but at 37 and a half hours. What'd you come
Oh.
up with?
21 and a third.
Yeah, 21
So we'd have to,
which is a 6.5% raise.
So, but it's $1 an hour raise, which I think it's $1.30. How about
we could say 21, 25.
well, that's what I was gonna say, if we-
Mhm.
$1.25 raise. And
Times 37.5.
how about we budget for $1.25 raise at 40 hours a week? And if that employee then says, well, I'm only, the 35 or the 40 is kind of their choice.
Good point.
They don't go into overtime until 40.
Yeah.
So if we budget for 40 hours a week at 21.25,
They have the potential to earn that then.
But why are we paying such a big raise?
because that job, it was a new employee who
Oh,
came in.
gotcha.
We're bringing it back up to where it was previously now.
Okay,
That office is, why we're paying a big raise is because that office has changed.
gotcha.
The job, it's not just once in a while somebody's walking in with a building permit. Our building permits, and we remember we've added all the short-term rental stuff in there now.
Yep.
The job has changed.
But we would be budgeting on, if we do it the way you just said, Mike, to do 21.25 at 40 hours a week, that would be a 6% raise. Whereas originally the ask was 5.
Okay,
So I'm just, I'm just like,
Yeah, I mean, again, I would say this person has to decide how many hours they want to work and then,
right, but we have to decide for them. It's not, we're not,
yeah.
I'm trying to make it be work for both ways.
Mhm.
So,
this
I mean,
is,
essentially, we have to tell them what the answer is.
Right.
And again, I go back to my original question is what's the job require? And again, you see it every day. So is it a 35-hour job or is it a 40-hour job?
It can be both,
Okay.
it's a matter of what gets done and what gets put off till the next day.
Oh,
Yeah.
understood. Gotcha. Okay.
At the end of the day, it all gets done,
Mhm.
but
Just how long does it take?
Right.
I got you.
I mean, I think I don't want to nickel, I think it's a fair, I think 21.25 is a fair wage. I think that ask
what
has
if-
changed. It sounds like the ask is changing.
what if we say at 21.25 at the 37 and a half hours?
Yeah,
Can you figure what that is for me?
it's 796 .875.
No, for the year.
Oh, for the year,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
41,437.50.
Be what?
41,437.50.
Oh, which is.
Yeah, it's the same, it's an
Which is
hour cut.
essentially, which is.
That's how we
just
came up
about-
with that number.
Mhm.
So 41,000, what is it?
$437.50.
Ugh,
Change.
yeah. Well, that's because we're doing 37.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'll make the budget, I'll round the budget up, but we'll do the salary or not the salary, but the pay. So what is it? 41,
437.
7,
41,437.5.
0.5. So I'm gonna do 41,438 in the budget line.
Okay.
And we will say 37.5 hours at, what is it, 21, 25. I think we sort of split the difference for both. We still gave I mean, we're giving a 6% raise. But we're saying, we'll give you back, we'll split the difference on the hours.
6.25% base.
Yeah. But I also think the job warrants it.
Mhm.
Okay. And then we're basically right. It's $162 difference for the year. So I think we've solved both problems. The constables, we've always budgeted 3,000. I cut it down to 1,500. I just didn't see the need for that. We only had $383 this year. We probably could even go a little bit lower, but
Do they deliver though the
Certified.
the certified letters and things?
they
don't do
deliver,
a lot
no,
of
they
those?
deliver violation
Violation.
notices.
Yeah.
But it's,
Obviously, we didn't do a lot of that this year. So.
well, we did, but it's just not, it doesn't cost that much because it's, you think 3,000 at 1,500, that's 100 hours. That's 9 hours a month of,
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
more than we do. Maybe we should go down to 1,200, $100 a month.
There you go.
Let's do that. The fire inspector, what was asked was, I think probably a 5%.
Yeah.
And I put it in at, a 75-cent raise instead of, which is just a little under 4%. Because 82 cents would be
3.6.
4%.
Mhm.
And I put it as a 70-cent raise. We could go up a little bit. Actually, ironically, right now what I proposed is matches what the zoning coordinator is making.
Right.
Bear in mind, it's budgeted for 15 hours a week and he often doesn't work the full 15. but-
Mike, remind me what the deal was with his car. Was that going to cost us?
No, it's not
No,
because we can
something.
use the other highway,
Yeah.
the old Jerry's old vehicle, so it's not gonna cost us anything. So
Okay.
it's a non-issue.
Gotcha. Looks good.
So you're okay with what I did?
Yep.
Yes.
It's not quite a 4%, but
Looks good.
yeah. I mean, we could go a little bit, I don't know.
I'm okay with that, especially because it matches the zoning coordinator, which is
Yeah,
like,
that's the reason I'm kind of hesitating now and thinking we should go a little bit higher because it is an inspector. It involves a lot of training, licensing, testing. Should we go to 2150? Let me just see what that turns out to be if we did go to, I don't think it's going to turn out to be much. 16,770. That's
Where-
$1 an hour raise.
And that's almost.
Which is
what they
20, it's
requested.
$20 less than what he asked for the year.
Yeah.
Might as well just give him what he asked for.
Yeah,
Well, but what he asked for is
Not divisible. I
not
got you.
divisible.
All right.
Let's just.
16,770.
16,770. I think it's a position that does require, obviously there's
okay with that.
training. The clerk part-time is actually the other person that Jerry hopes to use as an inspector for right now they are not working. He's not utilizing them right now. They were making $17.50 an hour. I'm proposing upping it to $1 an hour to $18.50. And that's the 19,240 that I budgeted. So, which is a little bit higher than what they asked for.
Yeah, and also like we're saying that we're not willing to pay the planning and zoning secretary $18.50, but this is a clerk.
It's not a clerk job,
Oh.
though. They're gonna be going out and doing safety inspections. We're calling it a clerk because that's how we have to do it for the job title. It's reviewing, it's kind of like an assistant code enforcement officer. They're doing a pre-review of the applications, the building. There's the person that's in the job, and this is a case where it is the person in the job. It's not really a clerk's job. It's titled a clerk to be able to put it in there. We probably, in the long run, if this becomes a more permanent position, we should reclassify it correctly.
Right, as the assistant or the in training, it would be code enforcement officer in training.
No, see, that's the problem is if we go to code enforcement office, then it takes it to another whole level.
Mm.
You can't.
But I think, we are paying $17.50 an hour because of their, what it brings to the office.
But we made this appointment like a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, correct. And right now they're not working because, but Jerry hopes to use this person to assist with the fire and safety inspections for the short-term rentals.
Mhm.
Because they don't have to be a licensed code enforcement officer to do that. It's just essentially a checklist, but they will be going out in the field and working with the public, and it's. I mean, we could leave it what was asked, but it doesn't, the math doesn't work.
Right, that's 1837 and a half.
Yeah, so. You want to go 75 cents instead of $1?
That would be, that would be 1825.
Yeah.
Oops. That would be. Is that right? 20 times 52
1825,
is 18.
20 hours,
980.
18,980.
Yeah.
How about, does that sound like a compromise?
Mhm.
Okay,
What's the final?
okay,
You have the final number?
18,980.
Thank you.
The equipment, the 500 is a placeholder. The Dell computer that's shown as there is what was bought last year. We may at some point need to buy an additional laptop for that office or an additional computer, but I don't know for sure yet, so. Office supplies. As 600 was asked, I put in 600. Professional services, 1,500 was asked, I put in 1,500. Software, they only put in 2,000. I upped it to 8,000. I still hope that someday we will get a building and code software program specialized. We had previously budgeted 10,000. we still have yet to buy it. But I lowered it to 8 this year in hopes that we can find something out there. There's a lot of stuff out there, including this one company from North Carolina who emails me about every 4 weeks.
Once you're on their list, they're relentless.
Oh, yeah. Well, we actually got a quote from them back
Yeah.
2 years ago. And
Right.
For the next 2 years, every 4 weeks, he sends me an email. Where do we stand? Education and conference, we had always put in 1,500. It really doesn't need to be. I cut it in half. That was the ask. The mileage, the only reason we had to pay mileage last year really significantly was because we had no vehicle for a short period of time. 600 was asked. I went to 300. We may not even need that much, but
The part-time clerk, if that's a field position, they use the code enforcement officers.
we'll have to figure that out. I don't know the answer to
Yeah,
that
or
question.
the fire inspectors.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how that
Okay.
works.
I was wondering if that's maybe why they asked for the.
Well,
Yeah.
probably, no, they weren't. That was just based on the previous
Gotcha.
year's number. I think what will happen is that extra vehicle that highway has will kind of become whichever code enforcement officer needs a vehicle that day will use that,
Gotcha.
as long as Jeff doesn't need it. Because I told him he could have it, but it makes sense for him if he has to send multiple guys out to a job site, because in the pickup, they can only put 2 people in a pickup.
Yeah.
So they gotta run 3 pickups out, where they can put 5 or 6 guys in one in that.
Mhm.
And so. Postage is what it is. The ECC, I wanted to up them a little bit. They did not provide any specific budget line, but because we gave essentially the HPC a total of 2,000, I upped it. Did we give them 2,000? What did we give? the
We,
HPC?
in essence, it was
It
2,
was 1,500,
1,500.
200, and 100. No, we only gave 1,800.
yeah, because of the office supplies.
Yeah, let's change the ECC 1,800 and we'll match it.
Gotcha.
We always have sort of matched those two. Aaron, I'm still gonna keep trying. The livestock, the agriculture advisory committee.
No, we can do it.
Yeah. John Kelder's interested.
Yes.
Maybe I can help.
Okay.
Um,
We just have to pass the resolution.
And I have to win the election.
Okay, employee benefits. Just so you know, I just took a peek. We are $5,000 and a little bit over where we are right now.
On what? I didn't hear.
The amount of taxes to be collected. We could always add some more fund balance if we had to, but
Did we get to the end?
Yeah.
We don't have to.
we're almost at the end.
Fireworks.
That's the fireworks.
Yeah, really, that's what it is.
Wow, how did we do that?
The state retirement is gonna be 70,000. Not 95. I've already changed it though,
Great.
so
And
we
we
didn't just gain anything.
We
just so you
said,
know.
and we said 85, so now it's 70.
Yeah.
Okay.
The FICA will be 76,434, and the way I have it set up, every time we made a change in salary, it corrected it.
This was 70?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it went from 95.
95 to 70. Yep.
Okay.
We got our projected bill for next year the other day. So the FICA is 76,434. Workers' comp, I've kept it at 50. I put in 55. We paid 49,865 this year. We had budgeted 48. I upped it to 50.
Mhm.
That could be our 5. We could go back down to 50. I don't know. It's just based on what
Right.
the county. If you look back at our audited budgets for previous years, they were 52, 66, 55.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah, that-
comfortable.
I'm not
Leave-
comfortable
yeah,
dropping
not
that.
that one.
The unemployment insurance is a placeholder. If nobody is unemployed and you know,
We got money back.
What have we paid in years past?
well, not much, you know, and we got the money we paid in 2020. We got some of that. We got some of that
Yeah.
back. We actually got it all back.
Mhm.
But that was because of the pandemic.
Well, then, I'm just saying, let's use the average plus a little bit.
Okay,
So if you got,
want to let's split the difference and go to 2.
yeah, because if you got 80, yeah, and that's
a
what
good
you
average.
Okay. We probably could look at highway unemployment too and gain a little bit there too.
Do the
If we want to
same
go
thing.
back. The disability insurance, you see the average of the audited budgets. I put in 900. I don't know why it was so much higher in 18 than it's been in the last couple of years.
Mhm.
I'm not sure why. I have no idea why.
Let's shave it to 800 since we're
Okay.
at it.
The medical insurance, we're gonna skip for now. I will put the correct number in there. The employee benefits, the reason it has doubled is we now have more highway employees and they get 375, no. They get. I don't think how much, it's a clothing allowance is what it is.
Mhm.
I don't remember what it is, but I'll have to look it up, but the 1,500 equates to what it is. And debt service in general fund, we have no debt.
Great.
So where we stand right now, we are at $2,972 over this year's taxes. Now, it's a 0.15% increase, and that will equate to a negative 1.91 tax. It will lower general fund 13%, and it will increase highway fund by 3.3. So that matching this year's tax collection was just our own sort of wish list.
Mhm.
But let's look real quick at highway unemployment.
I just looked at that because
Highway
it was like 2 years ago, it was 11,000.
Well, that was because of one employee.
Okay.
But I would say, but figure that in over the course of the last 5 years and then divide it out and use that as the number.
In
There's
18
nothing-
and 19, we
there's
had
nothing.
nothing. And 2021, and bear in mind that 2020 that we spent, we got 76 of that back.
Mm,
So we
It's
only spent
11
4,000.
It's like the last page.
Yep.
It's just the last
Very
page.
well.
So what are we saying? 11, 1
We put
58
2,000 in general.
plus. The 7,630, that was a refund.
Mhm.
Yep,
So we're just, so that's all we paid out. So
that 7,630, Aaron, was a refund of the 11,158 that we paid. So we paid 3,500 that year.
but that
And again-
was a COVID,
That, no,
or that refund was.
we
the-
got the refund because of COVID, because the federal government repaid the state.
Mhm.
But that whole 11,158 was one employee.
Well,
It's very rare that there's unemployment paid. not
But-
taxed.
right, that divided out over 4 years, even, it would be 2,789.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even do that because again, it
So-
was one, how about we split the difference on that and go to 1,500?
That's what I was about to say.
Yay.
Yeah,
So. Oops. Yeah, I did. Okay. So. We are $1,472 over. I'll tell you what, let me,
let's get the health insurance.
well, it's 9:30. Do you want to look at revenue or do you want to wait and do it Thursday night? We can probably go through revenue quickly.
Let's try.
I'd
See what
like to,
happens
I'd
in
love
5
to be
minutes.
done. I'd
I'd love
love
to
to
be-
knock this out.
Yeah.
Me
Okay.
too.
I feel very satisfied if we come into Thursday with just a couple of buttons that we gotta put on this thing.
Okay, so let's go to
We
revenue
can
then.
always take it out of town council.
That is true.
It's not that much.
I was
to
gonna,
start with.
I was just gonna say, the park there. 'cause-
Okay,
Oh,
so,
right.
Because they got a really nice hit last year,
oh,
so.
Yeah.
you're right. Good
We could
point.
go to 4 instead of 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good point. Let's do it.
So-
All those stars I made, I don't
Which
have
part?
them logged.
Okay, so
Which
the,
part?
the interest and penalties for real property taxes, the town clerk estimated 32,000.
Hang on, Mike.
We,
Yeah, just let me catch up.
It's gonna be page 1
Page
in the
one.
middle
All
though,
right.
revenues, yeah,
where revenue.
General fund, town, tentative revenue summary. I'm with you.
okay.
Yeah.
So we've always budgeted 30 for that. You can look in the past years, we've had 32, 34, 27. This year we've had 31.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you. Okay.
It's the one of,
47.
we could go a little bit higher.
Property tax?
Well, this is penalties and interest. So this is when somebody pays late.
Okay, I see.
So why would you think that would be higher this year?
Well, look back at the
Yeah.
18, 19, and 20.
Oh, yeah, they were
Oh,
peaking.
It's kind of
Above
all over the
32.
place.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we've always, I put in 30,000 this year.
and it's more.
We got 31,220.
Yeah.
So Kate estimated 32,000 for next year.
Mhm.
We could leave the 32, or we could look at the 3-year average, which is, well, the 3-year average is
33.
probably about 32.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Let's just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with it too much. Non-property tax, that is sales tax.
right.
I budgeted 180. It's a guess. In 2020, we had 193. I didn't know what COVID was going to bring. We will have a sizable one coming. We'll have 2 more coming. One we will get in January or February that will be retroactive back for December. December is traditionally a big one because of Christmas. This payment that we've gotten so far was only for the first, I think 4 or 5 months of the year.
Right.
193 is significant over previous years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
And that was the year we were worried. I remember having that discussion saying, what's COVID gonna
yep. Yep.
and whether or not the county was gonna pay it out too, right?
And the county is already saying that, because see, the county knows, because the county gets their payments from the state on a monthly basis.
Mhm.
They just only pay us like every,
Yeah.
The city gets theirs on a monthly basis too, the
Mhm.
city of Kingston.
Gotcha.
We could go to 190. We could go to
Wait, any
185.
idea what this year is gonna be? It's just, it would only be a pure guess at this point. We have no idea.
It's a guess.
Okay.
It's a guess. Oh, what this year means, 2021?
Yeah, what that 51 is gonna
Well,
go
that
to.
51 is the first 3 months out of the year.
Is it 3? Because you said 4 or 5, and then I said 10 is
Um,
120, and then with the
Well,
20%
think
spike in
what
the
that
4th quarter.
51 is.
That would mean 204 for the whole year.
Yeah. If it was 3, right?
It's like, it's weird
Yeah.
because yeah.
Well, 51 is about 17,000 a month, but bear in mind, it's not a straight,
No,
you can figure out monthly, so,
I'd say 185 at least,
okay.
The,
instead of the 180.
the 3-year average is 172,500.
Yeah. I think
I
we're
feel-
gonna be, I'm guessing that this year we will be close to the 190.
I was gonna say, I feel a lot better if I knew what this year's number is gonna be.
Mhm.
Because like, I mean, that's the thing is the
Yeah.
roller coaster of bulding
Put
supplies.
it this way,
and
Adam, the
liquor
county
stores.
is saying that this year's property tax has been huge.
Okay.
So once we finally get this next payment,
All right.
Mhm.
So you want to go to, I mean,
185.
185,
I'm comfortable with that.
okay.
that feels good.
The franchise fees, that's our cable vision.
Mhm.
It always has been in around the 115 to 118. It's kind of going down a little bit. I don't know if we should lower it by a couple thousand.
Mhm.
I know that I just got rid of cable.
That check
No.
comes in February.
Yeah.
So we don't know, we have no idea what it's gonna be.
Right,
Do we want to lower it to 117, 118?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
You want to
so.
go 117.5?
117, yeah.
117.
Okay,
117.
we're still 2,000 up there though, because of the
Yeah.
sales tax. Tax collector fees, Kate estimated 415, but we're already at 425 in the first 2/3 of the year. I went to 600. I may have gone a little too high. I look back at the previous, it's always been 556, 526, 496.
So let's bring it
Should we
down
go
to 500.
500?
Yep.
Okay.
What are those fees?
I'm not sure exactly, to be honest.
Okay,
It's not interest. I would have to double check exactly what those fees are. She collects these and then transmits a monthly
Right.
report to me, so
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what is classified as that fee.
okay,
Clerk fees are various fees for,
They seem to always be over 1,000,
Mhm.
yeah.
1,040, 1,600,
But look at
1,250.
this year is only 257, and I'm not sure why it's so low this year.
Okay.
I didn't feel comfortable going any higher than that.
Good enough.
Okay.
Attorney fees, we've been putting it in and it's actually escrow. It's very rare that we have an attorney fee, so I'm going to 0 this year. If we get something, 350 was 2
it's
hours.
a
of
wash
attorney-
anyway, so,
Well,
right,
yeah, pretty much, because
Mhm.
350 was 2 hours of her time. If there was something that we were able to bill back for that
Right.
was not,
she would bill us and then we would bill the person,
Right,
and that's why it's
exactly,
on the revenue side.
exactly. The municipal search, that is, we got a little overly ambitious with the 51
Yeah,
last
I
year.
remember that.
I remember being told, oh, it could be $100 a week or something. But, or no, $1,000 a week. We only did 21, so I went back down to 40. That's what was estimated. I think that's probably,
Mhm,
21 was through 2/3 of the year.
mhm.
The constable fees, they estimated 10,000. That's when we do the training classes for other jurisdictions.
Right.
Mm.
I put in 2,500. I'm not sure we'll do that.
Mhm.
I'm also not sure. I'm still really, it is a revenue source for us, but we are then teaching those classes. I've always been a little cautious of that. So we did have a great year in 2020, and we had a good year in 18. 19, we didn't do so many. We didn't do any last year.
Mhm.
So you feel okay leaving the 2,500?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Fire inspection fees, that is going to be the fire inspection fees that have to happen to all the businesses. That's not the safety inspection fees, that's the short-term rentals.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, the fire inspection fees, you'll see, we budgeted, last year was the first time this year was the first time we ever actually budgeted them separately. We've done $7,500 so far this year. It was estimated that we would do 15,000. That may be a little high. I don't know.
That was your estimate?
That was the estimate by the code enforcement office.
Oh, right. I see.
We did really sort of streamlined the fees last year too, which is why we have, and we're aggressively getting caught up in all the places that didn't have them.
Mhm.
So I think it's gonna continue. 15 might be reasonable.
Okay.
I'm sure Will had an input in it, in that
Mhm.
number being generated. The dog control, 300 was provided. I upped it to 400. If you look back at previous years, this year is a little bit less for some reason.
Why the spike in 2018?
I could, not sure.
Hmm.
I could go back and try to find out, but
Wild dogs.
That's it.
yeah. This is usually where we end up housing a dog that we pick up, and then the owner's got to pay a redemption fee.
Oh, I see.
Safety inspection fees, that's the short-term rental. What was projected
Was 300.
was 60,000,
Right.
which would be 300. I'm not sure that that's realistic. I went down to,
125.
I think that's a really good place to start since we don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, we don't wanna, I mean, that's a lot of,
Yeah.
it's not like a huge
No.
amount of money, but it's a lot to be off
Yeah,
if we don't get that.
but I'm comfortable that we'll have.
I think we will.
people step up.
We're still finessing the application. We will get it out online now by next week. It'll be out there.
There's that unsafe building again.
Yep, there's our 10,000.
Yep, there it is.
CEO restitution charges, that's where if somebody does something and then has to make corrections. We budgeted 2,000. We haven't had any this year. I budgeted the 2,000 again. That was what was recommended. We could lower it a little bit, but I just, something we added this year for the first time, and I don't think it's still properly being done. So I think we got to work toward making that better next year.
You want to do 1,500 until we see an actual cost?
Sure. The other public safety does not exist anymore. It has not existed for a while, that budget line. Vital statistics fees, that comes from the town clerk. You see, we've done we did 3,000 in 2020, we did 2,700, 2/3 of the way there. So I think the 2,900 is probably accurate. The fuel reimbursement, we don't actually get fuel reimbursement. I'm not sure why I put that in the budget this year, so. Park and recreation fees, that's the pavilion rental.
Mhm.
We had budgeted 3,000. We didn't get started for a while. I
Right.
think 2,000 is probably reasonable for the year. Youth and recreation fees, I'm not gonna, Ashley was so detailed, I'm gonna just go with her number, which is the 76,740.
Okay.
Zoning fees, that is zoning permit fees.
Right.
In the past, it was a commingling of, no, I'm sorry, that is ZBA fees. In the past, it was a commingling of zoning permits and zoning board fees.
Right, because
and-
they have to go through. the same-
Right, and now we've separated it out, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm going with the lower number from past. Planning board fees, I think, based on that number there, I think 15,000 is reasonable and probably could even go higher, but I'm not willing to quite go that high yet.
Mhm.
The refuse and garbage, we had a really good year the last few years, but because we've changed what we're taking this year, clearly we haven't spent as much money, but we haven't made as much money. So I think 250 is reasonable. Does that sound
Yeah.
okay? And the Historic Preservation Commission, they did raise some money with selling T-shirts, but I'm not gonna count that as a regular occurrence. The intergovernmental dog, that's where if we house a dog from another municipality that is at our kennel for a short period of time. I think $100 is a placeholder. The 1,300 is what we get from the county when we run our summer program. And that pays a portion of Ashley's salary for the running the program, and that's a static number. Interest and earnings, I don't think they've all been posted, which is why we only have $69.74 so far this year. But if you look back, once our accountant gets a hold of it and fixes everything. I don't know why 19 was so low compared to the other years, but 700 seems like a good average. Rental of real property, that is our cell towers and solar.
Seems low, just based on that we have 4.
No, because it's about, the solar is about 115. And the cell towers are about 150, 160.
Okay.
So you see the jump from 18 to 19, and that's when the solar first started.
Okay.
And then 20, so the 19 is one solar project was in there. So that 56,000 of that, so is the one solar, and the remainder is the cell towers. And then in 2020, 112,000 is solar, and the remainder is cell towers.
So why would we be lower in 2022 than we were in actual 2020?
We're not.
287 to 270?
Oh, well, that's a good point.
Because it's pretty solid. Plus didn't
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's a good one, Adam.
good
So
for one a
should we
month.
go
You
up
just got it.
to-
Yeah.
So should we go up to
290.
280, 290?
290.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but didn't we add a couple of bucks to our cell tower?
Well, that's gonna be a one-shot payment.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get that this year. I don't want to budget for it next year.
Right.
Mhm.
So at
It may show up in November or December, and if it does, then I definitely don't want to include it in next year's budget.
Well, it's been a rainy year, so maybe we don't want to go to 290. Maybe we want to go to 280 at 285.
Okay, about 280.
280, add 10 grand. I think that's fair.
Yeah, the solar fluctuates too a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, half joking about a rainy year, but I know, again, if it's not sunny.
Wait, I take that back. No, our solar payment is based on kilowatts, potential, not so-
actual.
Yeah, so we should
Also overcast.
go
Oh,
to
yes.
285. I think we
Really?
should.
So 285?
Can't read my own. Not rain, though. Oh. Filtered light.
Dog licenses. That's always hit and miss, but you can look back in the,
1,500 a year ish.
15, 16, 17,
Mhm.
Kate estimated 18, so I went with that.
Mhm.
Speedway permit is 250. That's pretty standard. Public safety permits.
Such as?
Trying to think what the 2550 is. Hang on one second and I can tell you.
Only because I see it went up 25 grand. We've only done 7 grand this year, budgeting 11,000.
Give me one second
what it
and I
is.
can tell you what it was. what's the budget code number?
2550.000.
So that is electrical system upgrades, removal or abandonment of an underground oil tank, demolition permits, and
Oh.
fireworks.
So they used to all be in miscellaneous building permits, it looks like.
Yeah, we this year made a lot of changes in the way we laid it out.
Mhm.
It's nice.
So, yeah, all that used to fall under miscellaneous and we're trying to correct that. So, now I don't know in past what was in public safety. So that's why
Gotcha.
our new number was the 1875. I'm not sure it's being appropriately billed. I've got to go back to the code enforcement office because 7,000 seems like a high number for me.
But we went from 25,000, but you were saying that's because everything was lumped into that line
Yeah,
as
exactly.
miscellaneous? Okay.
Well,
Went down to
everything was kind of,
1875 and then-
things were either, so in the past, public safety permits were also building permits.
Mhm.
You see, 2021, we finally started tracking building
Yes.
permits separately.
Yeah,
Mm,
got it.
So
that
basically, if
was-
you look at 2590 in the old days and 2550 together, that was all your building permit stuff.
mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Got it.
So I think actually the 11,000 probably is accurate.
Looks good, yeah.
Good.
Building permits, we budgeted 60, we're at 50, 2/3 of the way through the year, so I think 75 is probably reasonable.
Okay.
Driveway permits, we just started charging for them. So 2,000, I think, that's 20 driveway permits. I don't know, does that sound too many? We go to 1,500?
I don't have a basis. I wouldn't know.
We've done 6 through the first 8 months of the year.
Yeah, that sounds
But
like too many,
I know
Yeah,
in the last
1,500.
couple months, we've done like 4 or 5 more.
Mm,
Right.
So,
Let's call it 1,500.
Okay.
okay.
Let's be pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
I need
20.
Miscellaneous building permits, based on the fact that we took in 25 over 2/3 of the year, I think 40 is legitimate.
Mhm.
Fines and forfeitures, that's always a guess.
Wow.
Big
Yeah, I guess.
difference.
Well, the 2020 is because the courts were closed.
Oh, okay. Good call.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that in 19, we probably still, bear in mind, what happens is the judges give us the money, and then when we get the bill from the state, we pay the state out of this line, not out of an expenditure line.
Right,
So sometimes when we do the AUD, if the state is months behind in billing us, we have the money, but we haven't paid them yet, which is why I think that 109 was so elevated.
because you think
so
that
in the-
year's payments came out of 2020?
Well, maybe in the beginning, yes.
Mhm. So you figure if you average out those 2 years, it's 70,000, take 2020
Yeah.
out, we're already at 65, so 80 seems super reasonable.
Yeah, I think.
Especially if the courts are open full time
Yeah,
next
now,
year.
but
for
bear in
12
mind that
months.
65 that we're at, we still probably owed some money on that.
Mhm.
We still
Right.
probably owed at least 2 months worth on that. So I think 80 is.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a guess.
All right.
Fines and penalties for dogs, you never know what it's gonna be. 400 seems reasonable. Sale of scrap. We don't have any actual revenue yet because they tend to collect the bills and give us one check at the end of the year.
Okay.
That's what seems to be happening.
Mhm.
You look at the audited budgets, it's been in the 10,000. Although I think some of those were probably highway and highway didn't get credit for what they should have, but I think 7,500 seems reasonable. Minor sales, you never know, that's all over the place. So 250. I don't think we're planning on selling any real property this year or next year. So sale of equipment. That's if we auction off something. I think it's a fair guess that there'll be something we can sell. Unless you want to take it down to 0, and if we sell it, it's a windfall.
Well, I know we're gonna be auctioning off a
Pickup.
truck,
Mhm.
but might not be until 2023. So
Yeah, true.
I said keep.
Oh, that's highway though. That's not us.
oh, you're right.
Yeah. Let's take us down to zero. I just. I
Yeah, we don't
feel-
really have
Yeah, we
anything.
don't. Um, Refunds of prior years, that's just at the end of the year, if the real property determines that something was overpaid, we get something back. We have occasionally. We didn't yet this year. Donations seem to be doing really well. So I put 7,000. Employee health contributions, that number will change, that will go up, but so will, remember, so
What?
will the expenditures. I don't know what it will go up to, I'll recalculate that.
Mhm.
The AIM payments, that's the 22,120, that is static, and we get it every year as long as the governor puts it in her budget. And unclassified revenues, that's just we don't have a placeholder for it.
It's pretty significant this year though, compared to what you budgeted.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. We've gotten so much unclassified. I really need to I need to go back through those revenue lines and figure out if there's something that's in there mistakenly.
Yeah.
Mortgage tax. We budgeted 240 and we're at 229 already, and we got a whole lot more coming yet.
Mhm.
So I think 300 is legitimate. I could be wrong, but. And then the 61,301, that's the grant that we received from the local government records management.
Mhm.
So
Great.
we need to include that in there. So
We did it?
Where are we at now?
let's
Yeah.
see where we're
I like
at.
that. We found a
We
couple of bucks.
found a little bit.
I'll do a smiley face for that one.
That's it too.
Oh, wow. We are at a $13,928 tax decrease.
We're good.
Still got to button up the health insurance.
0.71%
Mhm.
tax decrease and a 2.76% tax levy decrease,
Amazing.
which will mean the average taxpayer will pay 5.8 cents less per thousand.
Wow.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
I'm gonna make
Nice.
sure I hit save. 10 PM.
We have notes, don't worry, Mike. I took
I
notes.
hope you
That's
got
it.
that.
Nice job, guys.
Hit save twice on
Are you-
each one, just in case.
Did you stop the Zoom? I want to unplug that because then it'll just be you.